we come to the public. I'm like, all right, sure. So we finally have contract law, which is great. We're going to be here we're going to have a 3-hour CE. So if you're on your laptop, make sure you're following along with the course content. I'm an agent as well, I get it. There might be an email that pops up, it's going to say Binzer with all exclamation marks. You're like, I really want to see that. Just wait. We're going to take 2 10-minute breaks. You have plenty of time to handle your business. Fair enough?
Yep.
The other thing I want to say in regards to laptops, if this is your first time being in one of these classes, or this is your first time starting to use the system, I highly discourage you from using your laptop. The reason being is there's probably 80 hours worth of content. We're really going to try to cram in 2 hours and 30 minutes after breaks and everything, right? So we're going to be moving at a little bit of a quicker pace, and what I do not want to have happen is you're on your laptop trying to follow along, and then you just stay focused in trying to figure out where you got lost, and the class has now progressed 30 minutes, and then you're going to say, where did you go, how did that happen, what, right? And I cannot stop the class for every single one-off, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. So if you're on your laptop, feel free to follow along as far as you can, and every single one of you should have aha notes here. What I recommend is, if you follow along, when you get stuck, when you get lost, when your screen doesn't look the same, whatever it may be, just write it down and say, hey, you lost me here, when you click here, my screen doesn't do this, whatever it is. Then during one of the 2 10-minute breaks, I'll bring you up to speed. Fair enough? For those of you who are not using your laptops, I actually almost semi-prefer it because my personal opinion is when you're first learning the system, just get a 30,000-foot overview. Let's see how the basic fundamentals work. Let's see how the system works with esign, which is the e-signature process. Let's see how it works with connecting the MLS. And then, with all of your notes, you could dive on kind of hands-on with the experience, all right? So again, you want to use your laptop, fine, but there's a lot of information coming at you. Any questions before we start? Hopefully the Wi-Fi works the whole time. This is going to be a Wi-Fi specific class. So the first place you want to go when you log into your system, and notice what I'm saying, the first place you want to go is aaronline.com. aaronline.com. So let me get my screen up here. The reason why I'm saying the first place is because some of you are probably already thinking, well, Jimmy, I thought you could access this through Flex MLS. Yes, you can. However, if you access it via Flex, it's going to send you to what's called the SSO dashboard anyways. So my recommendation is the first time you log onto the system, you go straight to aaronline.com. You're going to see one of 2 screens. You will either see this screen here, which shows you, it even says, hey, howdy Jimmy Garcia, right? It says you're logged in here. You will either see this screen here, or you're going to see this screen, which is a forced pop-up. So when you go to aaronline.com, it's going to give you a forced pop-up screen that says, how would you like to access the system? Do you want to use your traditional members login, or do you want to log in with single sign-on? You want to click that, log in with single sign-on. So recap, you'll see one of 2 screens, either this one, click log in with single sign-on, or you will see this one. Now this one's kind of funny because looking at the screen, if you wanted to access TransactionDesk, what would you probably click? TransactionDesk. Guess what I encourage you not to click? TransactionDesk. Why is that even there? Great question. We've asked AAR, can you please remove it or give further explanation? Why it's here is because AAR assumes we all know what the SSO dashboard is. And besides those who have been in a class before, who has heard of the SSO dashboard? One, right? That's it. Typically in all the classes I go, 3 max. If it's a 50-person class, that's it. Barely any agents know about the SSO dashboard. This launched in March of 2017, so it's been around for over 3 years, but all AAR did was send an email to everybody and say, hey, we have this new dashboard, check it out when you can, and most agents did what? Went about their day, right? Went about their day. So fast forward, over 3.5 years, and it's one of the most important aspects to the system. So why they have this here is because they think, oh, agents already have their dashboard set up, which most agents do not. So instead of clicking there, go straight to the SSO dashboard, all right? The SSO dashboard. Now, it's going to first ask for your NERD's ID number. Let's click on it this way, same exact thing. If I click login with single sign-on, it's first going to ask for your NERD's ID number. And then it says, on your first visit, your password is your last name. On your first visit, your password is your last name. By the way, if you do not remember your NERD's ID number, one of the quickest ways to get access to it, if you don't remember, if you lost your membership card from years ago, right? You can zoom in over here at the MLS. If I'm logged into Flex, inside of your Flex MLS, you'll see your initials in the top right. That's how you can access your profile. Just click on your initials, go to your profile, and you'll have your NERD's ID number right there. All right. So if you don't remember your NERD's ID number, that's probably the quickest ways to get access to it. All right. going back. Nerd's ID number, and then it says on your first visit, your password is your last name. By the way, it's capital first initial, so my last name's Garcia, it'd be capital G, lowercase ARCIA, and hit log in. Now, I was teaching this class a little while ago, and there was an agent, we just started. It was like 8 minutes into the class, and she was already kind of huffing and puffing. She closed her laptop lid and threw herself back in the chair, crossed her arms. I was like, all right, it's going to be a long class if she's already that upset. So I went up during the breaks, and I said, kind of, what's going on? You know, what's the issue? And she opened up to the screen, and she says, I can't get past the screen. No matter what I do, I cannot get past the screen. And one of the issues is, in front of the numbers here, right, I have 14. She had the letters SA. So what was she trying to put in? Her sales associate, her state license number. Again, it's asking for your Nerd's ID number. So don't get upset about the computer. It might be a little bit of a user issue, right? Then on your first visit, your password is your last name. If you put in your Nerd's ID number and hopefully spell your last name correctly, right, and click log in, and it does not work, what do you think that means? You've already done this, right? It's saying on your first visit. So this is not your first visit. So, and instead of arguing the computer, that's what I did. I said, I've never done this, it's ridiculous, I've never seen this game before. At one point or another, remember, this launched over 3 years ago. At one point or another, you may have tried this, so instead, you're going to scroll down and you're going to click, I forgot my password. I forgot my password. Now, that sounds like it should be basic enough, but here's where it really gets fun. When I click I forgot my password, AAR should, we use air quotes, should be sending you an automatic email link to get this password reset. Most agents are not receiving that email, all right? So instead of going through this process, they have to pick up the phone and call AAR to get it reset, all right? There are 89,000 agents switching to the system, 89,000 agents. AAR has a dedicated staff of 7 people. You think there's going to be a little backlog with helping all those people? Yes. And when do you think most agents are going to wait to switch until? The absolute last minute, right? So my encouragement to you is, even if you're not comfortable with TransactionDesk yet, you don't want to switch, you're going to wait a little bit, it's fine. At least make sure your SSO dashboard's activated. Because if you're trying to call AAR when 60 other thousand agents are also trying to call AAR, it's going to be a nightmare, right? So make sure you get this done now. Yes?
So I have a question. If you've already signed on, you're saying we have to sign back on and say I
Nope,
forgot
this is
my password?
only the first time. Yeah, this is only if
I
you...
must have signed on because I'm getting that same message, like,
Yeah.
okay.
So
But how do I know that I'm not a first-time sign-on?
it wouldn't work. If you put in your Nerd's ID number and
did.
your last name and it does not work,
No,
that's not your first
it
time.
keeps kicking me back.
Then you have to click I forgot my password and go through that
And
process.
I have to do that.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
Yep, exactly. Yes, you have to do that.
And
Right.
when you forget your password, does you say, and then you have to call them to get it? I lost you there.
Yes, so if I click I forgot my password, what is supposed to happen is an automatic email from AAR is going to agents. But a lot of agents are not getting that email. So it's supposed to be automatic, and we'll see. She's going to click I forgot my password. Let's see if she gets the email in the next few minutes.
It says incorrect ID or password.
And you hit I forgot my password?
I'm going to hit that right
Yep,
now.
Exactly.
Okay.
And hopefully in the next few minutes she gets a link. That's what's supposed to happen. But what's not happening for a lot of agents, they're not getting that link. So then you have to call AAR. All right? Yes, exactly.
And,
So that's,
and they'll give you a password.
they'll walk you through the whole process. They'll reset you right there. Yes.
I got my email. Yeah.
You got your email? Okay, good.
Well, I didn't get an email. I just got a pop-up that says forgot password, enter your Nerd's number.
Go for it, yeah. Fill it out. Go all the way through until you get in. All right? Everybody put a good vibes. I want to make sure she doesn't get lost. Because I'm telling you, when you have to call AAR, I've had agents tell me like they're going on 3 days, 4 days, still no response. So get this done sooner rather than later. If you wait till November, December, it's going to be weeks, right? It's going to be weeks.
Why is the system failing so much on giving it to you?
Good question. I think it's because it integrated a little early. So Lone Wolf, who owns TransactionDesk, and they have an agreement starting January 1st, 2020. That's when their agreement starts. So they do not owe AAR a final pledged full product until January 1st. AAR said, hey, can you please release it early? Because a lot of our agents need to learn how to train on it and practice with it. So Lone Wolf said, sure, we'll release it early, but we're still working on it, right? So I think there's integration issues, and you're going to clearly see that a little bit. There's going to be a couple of glitches we're going to run into through this class. I'm going to make you aware of them so you're going to know how to avoid them. But hopefully all those are solved by the time it's fully operational, live, ready to go. All right, so once you get past hopefully that big headache, and you're actually in the dashboard, this is what the dashboard looks like. This is the SSO dashboard. And a lot of agents are saying what and why? Why do we have the SSO dashboard? The whole point of the SSO dashboard is to be just that. It's to be a single sign-on location. What I mean by that is AAR was getting sick of everybody calling and saying, hey, what's my password to Flex? What's my password to Zip? What's my password to esign? Because you used to have multiple passwords for all of those systems. Now you have one username, one password, and it will log you into everything, which is nice. So the
That's a
SSO
good
dashboard is a great resource. You just have to get it set up to work, right? So beyond TransactionDesk, we have AAR Online again, AAR esign, Zip form still there, Supra. This works statewide. If you have any other board association access, you can use it anywhere else, not just Armless. Below, you're going to see the tech helpline, legal helpline. Again, a lot of resources beyond just accessing TransactionDesk. So my encouragement is to bookmark this page. Save this page because you're probably going to use it more often than not. All right. Now remember at the beginning I said this is just the first time you access the system. From there on out, once your SSO dashboard is activated, you could go via Flex MLS every single time. All right. So right here, if I go back into Flex, in my favorites, I place TransactionDesk here. You have to place that in your favorites if you don't remember how to do that, right? It's in your menu. You go to your menu of your Flex, and TransactionDesk is at the very bottom under Products. I know it's kind of hard to see, but at the very bottom under Products, you'll see TransactionDesk, and you just place that star there. And it'll be pop up as one of your favorites. So from there on out, you do not have to go to AAR every single time. Just the first time to get your dashboard set up. After that, you can always go through Flex. Everybody on the same page? The only reason I'm asking, I know I'm kicking a dead horse, is because at the end of every class I give out my cell phone, and what do you think the number one text message I get is?
How do
How do I log on? All right, so now's the time to ask. If you're like, if you're okay, then we'll move forward. All right.
So if you have TransactionDesk in your top over there, have you already gone through this whole process then? That's what I'm...
No. If it's already there, you have not gone through this process. If you click on it through here, it's still going to take you to that dashboard automatically. Yeah, it should take you to that dashboard automatically. It should.
I don't know.
And we'll see.
We'll have to talk.
Yeah, again, we'll see. Yeah. All right. So now back in the dashboard here, the actual dashboard itself. There's the icon TransactionDesk. This is the one you want to click. You know you've done it correctly because when you click on it, it should bring you directly into the system. It's not going to bring you to a TransactionDesk site. It's not going to say, hey, bring me your username or password for this website. It brings you directly in. The first time you log into TransactionDesk, the system's going to do what's called a pre-flight check status. And what that means is it's going to be checking for a couple of things. Number one is what browser you are using. It needs to make sure you're using the most up-to-date version of whatever browser you have. Now, in terms of the best browser, I recommend Google Chrome. All right, it works on Edge, it'll work on Safari, it works on Mozilla. So even if you have a MacBook, I still encourage you to download Chrome. Even Lone Wolf recommends using Chrome for the system. It seems to work a little bit better. The next thing it's going to do, that pre-flight check status, is make sure that your cookies are enabled on your browser. And when I say your cookies are enabled on your browser, and you're like, what in the world does that mean? You're probably fine. What I mean by that is you would have to already have known what cookies were to have disabled them. So that way, if you're like, I don't know what you mean, your cookies are probably enabled. On the off chance that you somehow disabled your cookies without realizing what they even were, the system will tell you. It'll say, hey, click here for Chrome, click here for this, and walk you through. 9 out of 10 of you are probably fine. There might be one issue where it's going to say enable your cookies, but it gives you step-by-step instructions that you're going to be able to figure it out. All right? Yes?
Well, mine gives me pop-ups and lets me allow or deny.
Yes. So when you first log on initially, there's going to be some pop-ups talking about some of these things, and then you just continue. There's going to be an option to continue, and then those go away. Yep. Yeah. You'll see some pop-ups. After that, you'll never see the pre-flight check status again. It's always going to bring you to this screen here, which is the agent dashboard. The agent dashboard is the home screen to the entire system. The agent dashboard is the home screen of the entire system. And why I'm going to repeat myself over and over and over again is because it's proven statistically in these kind of lecture type settings where I'm up here and you're over there and I'm just talking, 80% of what you hear is gone within 24 hours, right? Which is why a lot of universities are changing the way they're doing classes, because you sit there and you nod your head, you're like, yeah, it makes sense, and 24 hours from now, it's like, I have no idea, right? 80% is gone. So what you're left with are your notes, and I'm going to put some vocab words as well that we're going to cover, all right? So remember, the agent dashboard is the home screen of the system. Inside of this dashboard, you have these different widgets here. I'm going over with my cursor. This widget is kind of like this rectangle where my cursor is. So I have a transaction widget here. I go over, I have a forms widget over here. Below, I have Authenticign and documents. These widgets give me a quick snapshot in time of whatever they're referencing. So on the transaction widget here, I can just scroll through and just get a quick snapshot of the different transactions. Same exact thing for forms, same exact thing for everything else. These widgets just give me a very quick snapshot, right? Now to customize this dashboard, there is a lock and unlock key if I zoom in, this lock icon. I'm going to click the unlock button, and now you're going to notice a few things change. One of the first things that pops up, or at least I notice, is that there's now a green triangle at the bottom right of every single widget. This allows me to resize these widgets. So if I am, a transaction coordinator or maybe a team lead, and I want to see every transaction on my home screen the second that I get there, then maybe it makes sense to make this the largest widget in the entire system, right? I can click and drag and resize it however I want. Same exact thing for all the other widgets. When you're done, you let it go, it snaps back in place. If you're more of a minimalist and you want these widgets removed, you could do that by clicking on the X, right? If you just kind of want a clean, very basic dashboard, you could do that. And then the toolbar up here allows you to add either any of the ones you've deleted or any additional widgets to the screen. So you have full customization over this dashboard just like you could on Flex, right? You can do the same thing on Flex MLS. And whatever you need to do to add, you click on it, literally drag and drop. So if I want to add forms, I click on forms, drag it to where I want to go, and drop it. If I want to move it over here, it's drag and drop. We're starting very basic. This is pretty easy stuff here. Just want to make sure you guys know how to customize your dashboard if you need to. All right. One of the things I want you to remember on the dashboard itself when you're customizing is you have to click the lock key again, because it will allow you to navigate elsewhere. And what may happen, what's happened to me, is that I've accidentally deleted something that I didn't mean to delete. All right, so make sure when you're done customizing this, you go back to that lock icon and you click on it. It's going to snap everything back into place. All right, everything gets snapped back into place. All right, let's talk about our first vocab word of the day. The first vocab word is the In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger. Why I call it the In-N-Out Burger is, one, it looks like a burger to me, at least, right? We have bun, patty bun. Why I call it the burger? Because, and In-N-Out, the system does not provide a navigational toolbar. Nowhere in the system is going to tell you, hey, click here, go there. There's an exception to that rule when we get to the wizard a little bit later. But for the most part, the system doesn't show you where to go. So why I'm telling you to remember the In-N-Out Burger icon, this icon here, is because it gives you the capability to navigate in. It gives you the capability to navigate out elsewhere in the system. So when I click on it, it's going to bring me in to all these options where I can now navigate elsewhere in the system itself. And you're going to see they start to mirror the widgets a little bit. So remember, the widgets give me a quick snapshot in time. I have a quick snapshot in time of different things going on here. If I want to see everything in its entirety, in other words, I want to see every single transaction ever done in the entire system, I click on TransactionDesk. All right. If I click on TransactionDesk itself, it's going to bring me into this view where I now have more options to search. I can search via the client name, the property address, I can sort, I can add, I can do different things. All right. So quick recap, the In-N-Out hamburger on the left, we're going to see one on the right in a little bit, the In-N-Out hamburger on the left brings me into the entirety of whatever it's referencing. So if I want to see every transaction, every signing session, every form, every document, it's on the left. All right. Widgets, quick snapshot, everything in the entirety is on the left. The next vocab word I want you to write down, or at least remember, is the snowman. Let me find the snowman here. I'm going to go into a transaction just so I can reference the snowman right here. This little guy right here. Snowman. Minus the coals and the carrot, right? Kind of looks like a snowman. The snowman gives you the ability to edit, change, or modify whatever it's referencing. The snowman gives you the capability to edit, change, or modify whatever it's referencing. You're saying, Jimmy, why are you using these very basic elementary terms with us? Because again, 80% of what we're hearing is going to be gone within 24 hours. If 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now you're in front of the system and you're thinking to yourself, I need to delete this, I need to rename this, I need to move this, I need to whatever it may be, what would you click? The snowman, right? If I need to navigate elsewhere, if you're stuck on a screen and you're like, I need to go here, I need to go there, where does it navigate? In and out, right? The hamburger. There's one on the left and we'll see one on the right. We're going to use a snowman a lot. Yes?
Get comfy if you
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You look good.
All right, so let's go back to the dashboard itself. Now, looking at this screen, if I wanted to create a transaction, what would you probably click? It's not your question, it's true, it's how you do it. I'm not trying to belittle you or speak to you like you're not intelligent. Why I'm saying the obvious is because I've taught this class upwards of at least 100 times this year. I'm not being facetious, at least 100 times. And there's so many agents opposed to change. There's so many agents that are like, I cannot stand this already without even seeing it. They just don't like change. And because so many agents are not only, it's okay to dislike change, but to be opposed to it at a point where they almost blind themselves. I've seen agents almost blind themselves to how easy the system could be just because they're so opposed to it. I'll give you an example. I was teaching the class, and the agent at the end, she came up to me and she said, I loved your class, but I still feel like I really have no idea how to do anything. I'm like, all right, well, it's kind of an insult and a compliment at the same time. But, okay, let's go back. So I went back to her laptop, and she was out of this view. Let me zoom out a little bit. She was probably like out of this view here. And I'm standing here, she's right there in her laptop, and she's like, and I said, for example, like, what do you not understand? And she's like, well, what if, and she's like, I don't know, my client calls me and I need to write an offer. What do I do? What do I do? And we're looking at the exact same screen. And I look at the screen, look back at her, look at the screen, I'm like, and I'm not trying to be rude, I said this, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, you take a wild guess. Where would you think you would click? Just any guess. And she's like, create transaction? Yes, right? Yes, you create a transaction. So instead of being like opposed to it, she was one of those that are like, for 20 minutes, I can't believe we're switching and why did we do this? And it's like, just relax. Because for one, do our clients care that we're switching? No, absolutely not, right? If a client calls me on Saturday and says, hey, I want to make an offer on the house we toured earlier today, I can't be like, well, I'm learning a new system, you gotta wait till Monday. Right? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right? So when we realize it from that standpoint that our clients do not care whatsoever, then it should not be used as a hindrance to us whatsoever, right? We have to take time to learn the system because they're not going to care. They're not going to care at all if we can't do this or know how to use it. Yes?
Will they put all the zip form that we have in there, they won't transfer them over?
No.
So they're just lost then, whatever you have in zip form now?
Yes, unless you take it off the system. Yes. You could download all of those off the system.
You could.
Yes.
Well, that's another.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, but if you, if you don't pay for zip forms moving forward, you
No,
won't
but
have
I mean,
access
if
to
they're
them.
already on there, they're not gonna
No.
put them over for you.
No, nothing's going to move over. Yeah, they're completely different companies.
Don't need
Yeah.
those.
Well, actually, no, they're not.
When you say
Lone
down-
Wolf owns zip
Owns
forms
zip
now,
form,
but there's not going to integrate.
when you say download, are you going to download it into this system or into a special file?
No, special file. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic of how to manage pipeline. I'll get to, if we have time in the end, I'll mention that. But no, I would not. I see zero point of bringing zip form files into this system.
Right.
In my opinion. But yeah. All right. So create transaction. Obviously, it's there for us. That's one way. There are 3 ways to create a transaction. There are 3 ways to create a transaction. And for some of you, you're like, well, what's the best way? I want to know the best way to create a transaction. Well, it depends on where you are in the process. Obviously, it's here. Create transaction right there in our home screen. The second way to create a transaction, if I go into TransactionDesk, in other words, the entirety of the system to see all the transactions, right? So I click on the hamburger, there's TransactionDesk. And I'm in this view now with all of the transactions. If I scroll over, you're going to see there's the add button there, add. That also creates a transaction. They both do the exact same thing. The third way to do a transaction is from Flex MLS itself. So if I go to Flex, if I click on any random listing here, I don't know, this one here, let's go to the details of that listing. Above the list price of every listing in the system, you will see either the Transaction Desk icon there, or you're going to see a button that says more. All right, you click on more and you'll see Transaction Desk. Every listing, you don't have to do anything to change your settings. It's already like that in the system for you now. So if I click on Transaction Desk here above the list price, not only will it bring me into the system, it's going to pull all of that MLS information with it. All right?
So it does the REITs, whatever the.
Yep, the MLS Connect kind of thing. Yes, this brings everything into the transaction. And you're like, well, that's it. That's the best way. That's the best way to create a transaction. Maybe. And why I'm saying maybe is because let's say that I am at the Starbucks down the road, right? I don't know, I'm not familiar with the area, but there's always a Starbucks down the road. For sure. So let me wear a name tag, and somebody comes up to me and says, oh, you're an agent, and we just have a casual conversation about the marketplace. Depending on what is said, what could be established? Agency, right? Agency we established. Does it make sense to start a transaction here at that point? No, right? Why? We just met them. We have no idea.
No,
Right, we had a casual conversation. We don't know if they're a buyer or seller. Even if they said, you know what, I'm thinking about buying in the next couple of weeks, will we still start from this point? No, we have no property address, right? So yes, the functionality of this is exciting, but I always say that our buyers do not become instant buyers the moment that we meet them. Sometimes it happens that way, but typically, even if they have the willingness to buy and they have the capability to buy, do they have the property to buy right when we meet them? Not often, right? Not often. A lot of times they're like, I want to be in this neighborhood, this many bed, this many bath, and you start the search from there, right? But I'm not going to wait all the way till the end to create a transaction. I have a couple, and the only reason I know how long it's been is because we started this the month my son was born. We're on 21 months now, and they're on a search for 21 months. They want to be in Agritopia, which is a very, very small niche neighborhood in Gilbert. Not only do they want to be in that small neighborhood, they want to be on a specific street of that neighborhood. They've gone door knocking twice. I'm like, I don't know what else to tell you. You're just gonna have to. There's nothing, right? And who knows how long it's gonna take? It might take years before something happens. But I'm not gonna wait until they have a property to start the process. So my encouragement to you is to create the transaction ahead of time when you have an active shopper, when you have an active buyer, because by the time they say this is the property, you're gonna be able to put the contract together, put the offer together in under 5 minutes, easily under 5 minutes. I'm not being facetious. You can do that. But if you just wait till now, you're going to start all the way from scratch. Yes.
So is that like doing MLS Connect
Yes.
when you're doing zip form?
It pulls all the MLS information with it.
So that's instead of MLS Connect, you use TransactionDesk.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. All right. So let's do our scenario. I was at Starbucks and I ran into somebody. We had a casual conversation about the market. We don't have a property address. We just know, hypothetically they want to buy in the next couple of weeks. Great. So let's start with the first way. I'm going to start with creating a transaction here. Click on Create Transaction. You're going to notice the only thing that's required to create a transaction is just a name. And that's a little bit counterintuitive to what we consider as transactions, because what do you genuinely would say this is a transaction? What would you say?
The buyer broker.
Or a contract, right? This is a transaction. If I have an agency disclosure signed, would I go to my broker and say, hey, I have a transaction?
No.
No, right? No. Execute a contract, even an agreement, listing agreement could be served as some form of a transaction, but we don't have any of that information now. So what would we probably name this? Just a client's name, right? Just a client's name. So we met him at Starbucks. I'm going to say Starbucks Buyer Bob. I use this a lot. Buyer Bob, as you see. Okay. Templates. You will not see the option for template here unless you've already created a template. If it is your first time using the system, you have not created a template, or if your broker has started to create templates for you. Some brokers are starting to create templates, and you'll see that as an option here. But if you've never created a template, or if your broker has never created a template, you will not even see this option here. We're going to talk about templates a little bit near the end, so don't worry about that now. We're going to go to type, and again, Buyer Bob said, you know what, I'm thinking about buying the next couple of weeks. We have commercial, residential, just like the other options we're typically used to. I'm going to choose residential purchase. And then it also gives me at this point, again, the option to import the data directly from the MLS. But we're not doing that now because we do not have a property address, right? So there's no point to do that. And the last drop-down option is to be added to the transaction as either the listing agent, the buyer's agent, neither or both. Why do you think neither is an option?
Because at this point you don't know.
Yeah, at this point you have no idea, right? And what if it's your sister-in-law and you're like, all right, I'm going to help them one way or another, who knows how, right? Maybe that could be a placeholder. Or what if I'm a transaction coordinator, right? Or what if I'm a team member creating this on behalf of somebody else? Because whoever I select here, that's whose information is going to populate on any of the forms. So if I select myself as the buyer's agent, on the purchase contract, starting on line 444, my information is going to populate on, right? If I was a listing agent, my information is going to populate as a listing agent on an agreement or the contract, right? So whoever you select here, that's whose information is going to populate. If I'm a transaction coordinator, should any of my information be on those forms?
No.
No, right? So I'm going to choose neither if I was a transaction coordinator or building this transaction for a team member. So for us, I'm going to say buyer's agent in this case. And then by default, the use the wizard button is checked. By default, it is checked, and I recommend you leave this checked. The reason being is, remember I said earlier, the system will not provide you any navigational toolbar. It's not going to show you how to go anywhere, except for the Internet Hamburger. When you use the wizard, however, it does give you a 5-step process that helps you navigate through creating a transaction. It will show you next for 5 steps, all right? So my recommendation is the first 5 to 10 transactions you go through, use the wizard. Use the wizard, my personal recommendation, all right? I'm going to click create now. And now it's going to bring us into, it's going to bring us into the wizard, all right? And we have the wizard here, tells us. We have our previous button. We're in step 1 of 5, which are the details, and we have a next button now. Again, if you didn't use the wizard, the system's going to say, okay, you know where to go. And 2 weeks from now, you're going to be like, is it the hamburger, is it the snowman? I don't remember, right? So use the wizard. Use the wizard for the first few times. Step 1, we have details. Obviously, no details yet. Why? No property. So we're fine with that. Same exact thing with step 2. Transaction dates. No transaction dates. We haven't made an offer. We haven't found a property yet. Great. We're fine with that. Step 3, however, this is what I recommend you write an aha moment down now. Either write it down or make a very clear mental note. When you get to step 3 of the transaction, when you get to the contact section of the transaction, add your client as a contact now. Add your client as a contact now. That might sound obvious, but I'm going to tell you, if you forget to do it now, how tedious it becomes throughout the process to have to manually add them almost everywhere. All right? So add them as a contact now. You're going to notice I already added myself, right? Because I selected buyer's agent. And then how would I add a contact? There's the add button there. When I click on that, it's going to ask me, who am I adding? Is a new transaction contact? Am I adding an existing contact? Am I adding myself, right? If a transaction coordinator built this, now I can add myself as a buyer's agent or listing agent. The only third-party integration is from Google. Add a contact from Google. An existing contact means it's existing in the system. Doesn't matter how many MLS contacts you have, none of your contacts from zip forms. It only is existing in the system. So for us, we have no contacts in the system, right? We're just using this. So we would click create new transaction contact. I'm not going to do it because I want to show you, I want to prove to you how tedious it becomes, right? But no, when you yourself are doing this, add your client as a contact now. And I'm going to show you what it looks like if you do not.
So existing contact might be somebody who already bought or sold prior?
Yes.
They're already in your contact management.
Right, exactly. And we're going to see Buyer Bob as an existing contact because that's how we are going to add him in a little bit. But right, if I sold Buyer Bob a house and now he wants to sell his house 5 years from now, he'd be an existing contact in the system. Right.
Would it be in that contact where you emailed them in the armless?
No.
Not in those.
Right, no. Yep,
That's
so
contact management too.
yep, so your MLS contacts will not integrate.
It's not gonna go, oh, they're
No.
not doing too much to help us, huh?
No, they're not
I
yet.
think that would
So
make
this
sense to do.
I
What was
mean,
that?
they're going to all of this, you know, trouble to make this kind of easier, but if you have the two systems, because you have that one dashboard that's got all of the links,
Right.
it seems like it would make more sense for them to allow those contacts in Flex to integrate with the system.
But yeah, the problem is, and not to get too segued but the problem is we're dealing with 4 different organizations. You're dealing with Lone Wolf as an organization. You're dealing with AAR as an organization. You're dealing with Armless, which is a separate organization, and you're dealing with independent brokerages who have rights over their contacts. So you have to get everybody on the same page. Do you think that's ever going to happen in Arizona? Good luck with that, right? Good luck with that. It's already hard enough to get MLS Connect. You think that'd be easy? Getting MLS Connect into the system, because AAR can do what they want. Armless can say, no, we're not doing that. Armless can do whatever they want. AAR can say, no, we're not doing that. Even though for us we think they're the same, they're 2 separate organizations, 2 separate board of directors, 2 separate voting powers. So you have to say, Armless, can you do this? AAR has to agree. Brokers who have their right, some brokerages, if you look at your contracts, the contacts that you have could be the right of the broker, and you get into that whole ball game. So I highly doubt it would ever integrate fully into the system. Would it be amazing? Yes. The dream product, of course it would be easy. But would it happen? Highly doubtful. All right, highly doubtful. And for me, this is not a CRM, nor is it meant to be a CRM. Absolutely. It's just a transaction management. I don't care about my MLS, personally, I don't care about all my MLS contacts from years ago because there should be a CRM that I have. I'm not using this as a CRM, so I'm not integrating with this as a CRM. This is only for someone who's an active transaction now or in the foreseeable future. If they're going to be, if they're a past client, they're off the system, they're off zip forms, they're off the MLS, they're in my CRM, right? So I would say, personally, my personal recommendation is not to invest your contacts in the MLS, not to invest your contacts in Zip or this. Invest your contacts in some form of a CRM, not these systems.
Right.
All right. So contacts, again, add your client as a contact now. That's,
So you
yes,
said third step. Does that mean when you chose to use the wizard?
yes.
That's the
Yep,
third-
yeah, when you choose to use a wizard, we're in step 3,
Okay.
which is the contact section. If you do not use a wizard, I'll show you how to navigate the contacts, but always use at least the first 5 to 10 times, use the wizard,
Does
yes.
this stay in there indefinitely?
It indefinitely, just as zip forms files are ours indefinitely. In other words, as long as we have access to it, yes, but what if 5 years from now AAR says, hey everybody, we're gonna switch to dot loop? We're like, all right, and now we gotta switch systems. So that's why my personal recommendation is I do not save files here permanently. I do not save contacts here permanently. This is just a tool that I don't really own or control. I own and control my CRM, or I own and control my cloud, or whatever it is. So to answer your question, they will always be here as long as we have access to it.
Do we have to manage it throughout time?
What do you mean?
Like, do we take it out if we no longer have that contact active?
You can, yes. Yep, you could personally do all that.
Delete it and-
Yep, you can delete contacts. Right, if you, it's not like they're gonna hold and keep them. You can go in and delete contacts.
It's
Yes.
the best thing to do.
Yes, right. Yeah, I would clear out the systems. All right, so we have step 3, which again, you would add your contact. Let's go to step 4. I'm hitting next, and we're going to step 4 of 5 of the wizard, which are the forms themselves. The forms themselves. This is where you would go in and add any of your forms. This is also where I'm going to stress the importance of why we need to create templates later on, because instead of manually adding the forms every single time, we want to get to a place where we have templates built. That way the templates automatically populate. Same exact thing with zip forms, right? Zip forms, in my opinion, is a great product, but only great if you have templates, right? Same with this. This is a great product, but in my opinion, it does not work as well or as quickly as you can work through a file unless you have templates built. So, since we do not have a template, we're going to manually add these forms here. So I'm going to click add. You're going to see all of these screens really start to look the same. I have the same exact add button here. I'm going to click on add, and now I'm going to see 3 subfolders that I can choose from. I have AAR, Armless, they have Fannie Mae forms. I'm not exactly sure why, but they have that there. You will have a subfolder. You will have, yeah, you would have a subfolder if your broker has created one. What I mean by that is some brokers are contacting Lone Wolf and they're having their brokerage specific forms or documents uploaded into the system as a subfolder. But they, Coldwell Bank is probably doing it, some of the large brokers are doing it. They do charge $50 per page though that you add. So some brokers are not doing it, right? If you don't do it, you can add it as a document for free, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. There's a difference between forms and documents. So if you see, you will only see 3 subfolders. If you happen to see another folder, again, that's because your broker has requested another folder. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. For the most part, you're only going to see 3. You can click on these folders to go ahead and scroll through with whatever you want to find or click, but in my opinion, it's a lot quicker just to search. I love the search functionality of the system compared to zip forms. You guys remember on zip forms, you have to be pretty much dead on with what you're searching, or it has no idea. Like if I type in closing walkthrough, it's like, I don't know. I have to type in pre, hyphen, and it's like, oh, okay. With this, however, I can just type one of the words, thankfully, and it really knows what I'm trying to look for. So agency, there's real estate agency disclosure, election buyer, which is nice. Since we know, or not seller, buyer, since we know or hope Buyer Bob is going to actually be a buyer the next couple of weeks, and we're already at this screen now, what else should we add? What would you add for an offer? Everything, right?
Yeah.
The whole
Purchase
thing.
contract,
Yep, everything you need to add.
addendums.
Let's get a purchase contract here. I could do residential, again, all you need to type is purchase. There it is, residential purchase contract.
Maybe
If I want to
sell
type
the
addendum,
house.
even though they come over and saying addendum 1, 2, and 3, and you don't know what's going to fall in,
Put 'em
you
in.
could still choose 1 and then manually change the number up top. So let's say you're like, well, I don't know, what if it's the 4th addendum because they wrote 1? Just choose 1, and then you could change the number as it goes, right? Same thing with acronyms. I could use acronyms of the forms, and that's how it's referenced on the form itself. So example, if I type in MCA right now, nothing's going to happen. If I type in MCA, nothing's going to happen. But if I type in, for example, like SPUDS, the SPUDS will pop up. Why? Because that's how it's referenced on the form itself, right? So if the shorthand, the Binzer is the same thing. If the shorthand or the acronyms on the form, you could search that way instead of typing out seller's property disclosure statement, right? Same exact thing with advisory. Instead of just typing all the advisories, I could type the word advisory, and all the ones we probably use pop up, and I can just start selecting them, right? So I have buyer advisory, maybe I want to do market edition, wire fraud advisory. If I want an HOA addendum, I can type HOA, right? all these fun things.
You don't need that for a buyer.
So, for the, unless the seller fills out page 3, which I see all of the time down in East Valley, which drives me crazy. You guys seeing that over here?
Unbelievable.
All the time.
Oh, it drives me
Open Door does
insane.
that.
Oh,
Yes.
well, yeah, they
Who
have,
does that?
Open Door, that's.
Yeah, Open Door does that. Yeah, like, we're splitting.
We
No, you're not.
just put,
Yeah.
we just
not your
scratch
right
that
to do
off
that,
and
thank
write
you.
it in. They
Yeah.
don't even notice.
Right, yeah,
We
they're
just
signing.
have it signed.
Yeah, but I'm seeing page 3s. I don't know if someone's teaching that, but I feel like more and more I'm seeing page 3
Oh, that's
HOA filled out.
wrong.
Yes.
So this add forms, number 4, you're really creating a template.
Starting to.
No, this is,
No.
nope, we're not creating a template. This is for,
Wouldn't stay like in zip form where you have your listing, your sale, or.
you can.
I
We're
can
gonna,
create a template.
right, so here, let's make sure we're all on the same page. Right now, we're in a wizard for a transaction. So we're in the buyer Bob transaction and we're filling out his transaction. We are gonna get to a place where we're gonna build templates, and it is the same exact process. You
Well,
click on the individual
That
forms.
seems like it'd be, the first, I'd like to start with make a template, and then when which one I want purchase, or, because that's what I'm used to doing now with this.
That's fine, yeah. You could, when you go home, you can do whatever you want with this system.
If I try to do this transaction, and then I have to go back to zip form, I could do it, right?
Yes.
I'm not, okay.
Yes, you can. Right, yeah, if you're like, you know what, this is taking me 10 hours, I'm just gonna do a zip forms in 20 minutes, you can.
Well, because we're
Yeah.
learning.
Right. And that's actually, what my encouragement is,
Yeah, use.
use zip form, if you get a contract
Use
today.
fast, do it.
Yeah, if you're like you're gonna leave and somebody's like offer or your contract, use zip forms. My recommendation is to then mirror it in TransactionDesk while you're doing, it's double the work, yes, but it's gonna teach you how to do it in TransactionDesk.
Right.
That's my recommendation as well. All right, so you're gonna see when I'm clicking on all of these individual forms, I get a little check mark there. And the second most common text that I get, remember number 1 is how do I log on? The second text that I get more often than not is, where did my forms go? Where did my forms go? Because what's happening is agents are clicking here, they're clicking, and then they go straight to close. All right, they go straight to close. Notice what's actually happening though. What's happening is it's going into a basket. All right, they're going to a basket. I can review what's in the basket itself to make sure I have anything or miss anything, or want to remove anything, whatever it may be. I can do that. But more importantly, I need to click add. All right, again, it sounds self-explanatory, but I have 80 plus text messages to prove otherwise. That agents just go up and click close. You have to click add. If you click close, you're gone. All right. Now let's see. I've been getting an error message the past couple of days. Let's see if we get it here. Oh, we did not. Okay. I'm kind of sad we didn't get it. I kind of wanted to see it. If you get an error message that says you do not have the proper resources available, it's going to kick you out of the system. That's a glitch that's been happening in the past 2 or 3 days. Lone Wolf has said they're fixing it. Maybe they have, but sometimes these things pop up again. If you do see that glitch, you just close out of the browser and go back in. Hopefully, it's not going to happen to any of you. It's a fix that's going to be done already, but I taught this class yesterday and the day before yesterday, and it happened every single one of those times. So if you get, and it happens here on step 4. If you get to step 4 later on and it says you do not have the proper resources, close out of the browser, open it back up, it clears it out. It seems like it's fixed, so hopefully it is, but I just want to make you aware that don't freak out, the system's just close out of the browser and you'll be okay. Alright, so now the forms actually got added in. At this point, maybe I want to fill out my agency disclosure or make the elections. So what could I click to do that?
On the highlight.
Right, I can click on edit, change, or modify, right? What do I have?
Your
Snowman, right? I click on the snowman to go ahead and edit. Yes, you can click on the form itself. I want to make sure what you remember what the snowman does because we're going to use it a lot. All right, but yes, you click on the form itself. And when you open up, yes.
No, so if you have a TIS or a transaction, will that automatically auto-populate
Yes.
from the TIS?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yes, it will. That's great.
So you should put that in first, put all the information in, and then have that auto-populate.
And then it'll all populate in.
Okay.
Right.
Or if you go through Flex and you hit the
Transaction.
transaction desk from the listing, that would automatically,
Automatically
would that
populate.
automatically populate the TIS too?
Yes. Yes. Yep. So right now we have no property, right? We have no.
Right,
Yep.
this is just like
Exactly. Yeah, we're just.
Joe Blow came
Joe
in.
Blow's hopefully going to find a house in the next couple of weeks. We don't know. So for now, I have my agency disclosure. All of this, even though it auto-populated this, because why? I selected add myself as the buyer's agent. I can still, if I need to, for whatever reason, override. I don't see why you would, but you could. Now I can also go in and make my elections now. If I want to click and click, you're going to notice who is not here on the very bottom.
The name printed for the buyer.
Right, the buyer's already not there. Why is the buyer not there?
Well, because he has to print his name.
When we didn't put in, well, it would automatically populate actually when we put in the contact of the buyer, right? We put in we did, remember in step 3, we didn't fill out the contact information of the buyer. It's not going to populate anywhere, right? It's not going to populate anywhere. So we have to manually print the name if we wanted to, and they can go in and sign. Same exact thing on the purchase contract, same exact thing on anything else. He's not going to be populated anywhere because we never actually added him as a contact. That's why in step 3 we said what? Add your client as a contact, all right?
So you don't have the ability to go back?
You do have the ability.
Add them, and
Yes.
then at that point, okay.
Yes, you have the ability to go back if you catch it. But I really want to stress, instead of figuring it out afterwards, just get into the habit of adding them right when you're there. You at least, if you're creating a transaction for somebody, at the very least you know their name. Maybe you don't know their email fully, but at least you have their name, right? Typically. But yeah, you can go back.
But if you already started the form, it's not gonna populate even going back and add.
It will.
Yes.
No, yes it will. Yep. So even though we put all these forms over, and I go in next week and add it all in, it's all going to populate over,
Oh, okay.
which is nice. Yes, it is going to do that, which is nice. All right, so when you're in a form or a document, when you're in this view here, a form or a document, remember I said the only way to navigate out typically is through the In-N-Out hamburger there.
Right.
But what happens is if I click on the In-N-Out hamburger here and click on any of these options, not only is it going to pull me out of this form or document, it's going to pull me out of the entire transaction and take me wherever I clicked. So what agents are trying to do is just go back to where they were, and they click the back button in their browser, and what do you think that does?
Gone.
It takes them out of everything sometimes. Not only will it delete things, it might take you out of the entire system, right? So to get out of a form or a document, you need to click on File, and I recommend you Save. The system does autosave. The system does
Does it
autosave.
tell you like it, you know,
It'll
sometimes
say-
it's
yeah.
countdown clock?
Exactly. Like if you're sitting idle, it's going to say, "Hey, do you want?" It's going to autosave. Yeah. But this is months ago now, when they were kind of first using it. I was typing a counter, and it took me about 20 minutes because there was some exact language the client wanted. And I got out, I went back in, everything I typed was gone. All right. So since it burned me once, I don't trust it. It literally takes, I mean, I don't even think I can, half a second. Literally half a second. So I just say best practice, save. If you want to test the autosave, feel free. I just say save, right? So file and exit, that's really the most important thing to get out of a form or a document, because when I do it this way, it's just going to take me back to where I was.
Where
Takes
do
me
you go from that?
File, folder, and exit. Save first and then exit. And then when I click on exit, it's going to take me immediately back to whatever screen I was, which in our case is step 4 with the rest of the forms. We're not worried about the rest of these forms right now. Why? We don't have a property, right? So we're fine. We're going to move on and go next. The last step of the wizard is step 5. It's 5 of 5. And we have the fax back cover sheet. We're in the document section. So the last step, forms is 4. Number 5 are the documents. Inside of the documents, every single transaction gives us a fax back cover sheet, whether you want it to or not.
Fax.
Exactly. Whether
What
you
the heck's a
right,
fax?
whether you fax or not, every single transaction will create a fax back cover sheet, which gives you a specific barcode. You do not have to have your own fax. You do not have to have your own e-fax. If anybody faxes anything to you, it even tells you the transaction for Starbucks buyer Bob. If anybody faxes anything to you, it will go straight into this transaction. Which again, it would probably be a lot more exciting if it was $19.99, right? But not that much information we need here.
That's a little antiquated.
It's a little. You know what's funny is that for being a tech company, they're very proud of their fax back cover sheets, and they're so
Obviously, because they add it to the back of the transaction.
and they're so proud of it that you cannot delete it.
Ah.
Notice there's no so ban. So
There's
even
no
if you
so
don't
ban.
want to use it, you cannot delete it. So just ignore it, right?
Somebody wake up lone wolf.
I know, right? Tell them it's 2019.
Right.
So fax back cover sheet, you cannot delete it. You're not going to use it. Just ignore it. All right. And that's it. Step 5 of 5. We're done. There's no more. There's not a next button anymore. It switches over to done. And when I click on done, it takes me now to the transaction dashboard. Remember I said earlier, the agent dashboard is the home screen of the entire system. Why I kept saying that is because now we have a transaction dashboard, which is the home screen to this specific transaction. And agents get confused because they customize their agent dashboard with all the different widgets and however they want to see it. And then they end up being on the transaction dashboard, and they're like, where did all my customizations go, right? It's a whole different dashboard. If you ever forget where you are,
Right.
The very top it tells you we're inside of Starbucks buyer Bob's transaction. So now all of these widgets, the forms, the documents, the details, they only reference this specific transaction. I'm going to minimize this here and let's zoom out fully. All right. Now we have two In-N-Out hamburgers. We have two In-N-Out hamburgers. We have one on the left, which we already talked about, and we have one on the right. Remember, the one on the left brings me into the entirety of the system. If I want to see every transaction, every signing, every document, it is on the left. The In-N-Out hamburger on the right now will bring me into everything related to this specific transaction. So if I want to see all of the forms, all of the signings, all of the documents, everything related to this transaction, it is on the right. All right? Left is the whole system, right is this specific transaction. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and get this agency disclosure sent to Authentisign. There are 3 ways to do a signing session, just like there are 3 ways to create a transaction. The first way to start a signing session is if I am inside the form itself. One of the ways is being inside the form itself. So here we have the widget, Real Estate Agency Disclosure and Election Buyers right here. I can click on that, it brings me back into the form, just like we were earlier, where I could have made my elections. And if I zoom in up here, you're going to see in the top right, there's the pen icon and sign. The pen icon and sign. That is one way to start a signing session, by clicking on that sign icon. That is one way, all right? The other way, let's remember I had file and exit to get out of here. If I want to go to the signing section of this transaction, in other words, if I want to see all the signings ever done in this transaction, where would I find it? It's on the right, right? And then a hamburger on the right, there's signings, right here, signings. Obviously, we're not going to have any signings because we just started this transaction, right? But there's the add button.
So wait a second, sorry, Jimmy. Go
Yeah.
back. How did you get back to the,
So when I was in the form, I hit file exit.
file
Yeah.
exit?
Yes, file
Where-
exit, and then I went to the In-N-Out hamburger on the right, and there's signings right here.
Where is the exit? Just the, oh, X.
X,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So,
Why does it, why, I don't need, like, I'm a human, I read.
yeah,
Why do they have to have, like, X?
logos and stuff like that. So I'm glad, I'm almost glad you brought that up. So notice, I'm gonna open up the form again. Depending on your screen size of your computer and the browser you're using, you're gonna notice up here, some of you may not see the word file, fonts, or anything like that. You're just gonna see the icon, and I bet you that's in your case. You will just see a folder. You will just see the letters. You will just see the icon for clause. If you hover over it, though, it will tell you the word file and fonts. But yes, some of you may not actually see the word file. You're just gonna see a folder. Some of you might not see the word save. You're just gonna see a floppy disk, all right? So, but if you,
Ugh, I know how to read.
Yeah.
Seriously.
yeah, I know, floppy disk. If you hover over it, it will tell you the name. Guys, I don't work for Lone Wolf, by the way, so I'm just a messenger, all right? I'm just an agent like you guys.
We know how to
I
read.
don't work for AR, Armless, or anybody, so don't take your frustrations
These are
out
for,
on me.
these are for millennials who don't know how to read.
Exactly. All right,
They know
so
what a floppy disk was.
they don't know what floppy disk is. All right, so let's go back to signings. And this is the second way to add a signing. Add,
What
yes.
you did say though, Jimmy, is if you hover over that icon,
Hover over, yeah. It will tell you.
it'll tell you.
Yep, exactly. Yes. Like even the same thing here. Add what? Add Authentisign, right? Add Authentisign.
Now, is that the same as esign?
Not the same, but it does. We're gonna talk about it in just a second. Give me 45
What am
seconds.
I adding then, if I'm not
Yeah,
Give
I
me-
wanna find out the third way.
Yep, give me 45 seconds, and I'll address that. I promise I'll bring it up to speed. So before we kind of got on a segue, there are 3 ways to do a signing session. The first way was by clicking on the pen inside the form icon, right?
Right.
The second way was by going to signings inside of the signing section and adding a signing session, which we're going to get to in a second. The third way is by if you are in the forms or document section of the transaction, you're going to notice there's a basket here. A basket here. So if I want to get all of these things signed here, every single one of these things signed here, I can click select all, and they could go into this basket. And one of the options is the pen. All right. So again, they all do the exact same thing. Even if I start the signing session in that one-off form, it allows me to then add other things. So I'm not bound just to get this one thing signed. So what are we adding? What are we trying to get signed? We're going to get the agency disclosure signed. We're signing the agency disclosure. So if I go into the form itself, and I click on pen, the pen icon right here, sign, It even tells you, it says, additional forms and documents can be added via Authenticide. All right, can be added via Authenticide. I'm going to click yes, and now we get brought into Authenticide. What is Authenticide? Great question. Authenticide replaces the need of AAR esign. It replaces the need of DocuSign. Authenticide is a system's proprietary software that handles all of your electronic signatures, and it's built into the system. All right, so you no longer have to use. You can still use esign. It's not going to go away. Esign will remain. DocuSign is not going to go away. If you want to pay for DocuSign, you can still use DocuSign. But Authenticide is built into the system. It does not cost you extra. It's already built in. I prefer it over everything else because it is built in, meaning I don't need to download any of these things. I don't need to upload them anywhere. It's all inside of the
You just
system.
email it right from there.
Yes, right from the system. Exactly. It's right in here.
Or you could print it out and you're with them and they're gonna sign it.
Correct. Yes.
That's really 1999.
You could do that.
Well,
Yes. Yes. All right. We're at 10:01. Let's take our first 10-minute break, and we'll come back and do an actual signing session. All right. Let's get back into the signing that we're starting. We're trying to get this agency disclosure signed. And remember, Authenticide, it's built into the system, right? So again, it replaces the need of DocuSign. If you still like DocuSign, that's fine. If you still like AAR eSign, that's fine. But what you would have to do is download these as PDFs and then upload them to either eSign or upload them into DocuSign. It's not like with zip forms where I could push to DocuSign. The only thing I can push to sign is now Authenticide. All right. I stopped paying for DocuSign. I just use the system.
How easy, all in one.
It's all built in.
I
All right.
thought DocuSign was going away. It's not.
No.
Oh,
Yeah. No. DocuSign's.
That's its own company.
Well,
Yeah.
it-
Yeah. They're
it-
massive essentially. Yeah. As far as through zip forms, probably integration will because now they have this, but no, not as independent. Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
so you hit the sign button.
Yep. We hit the sign button. And
Pen.
we, yep. Hit the pen to the sign button, and we hand up here. Yes.
But what email is it using?
Put
You're
it
in,
in.
okay, once I've established my password and everything and I can go just to Armless, I can go up on top and press TransactionDesk and I'm in.
Yes.
And I don't have to do another password because I used my password to get into Armless.
Yes.
Now I do all my forms and so forth and I'm gonna authenticize it like eSign.
He's gonna show you how to go next.
What email is it using?
By default, it's the email that you have registered through AAR. I will show you in preferences where you can change that email if you'd like. But whatever email you have with AAR, that's the default email.
You know what, I didn't even, it's been so long, I don't know.
But I'll show you later, when we get to the very end of the class, we talk about preferences, and you can change that email. Yes.
So there's no profile to set up in here,
No.
because it all,
It all came over.
because they're identifying us
Right.
and what we're doing.
Exactly.
so.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we have 4 steps to get through. 4 steps to get through a signing session. Number 1 are the details of the session itself. You have to have a signing name to start the signing session. This is not the name of the signer. This is just the name of the session itself. By default, since we started this in the agency disclosure, by default it named it, the name of the transaction, and the name of the disclosure itself. You can call it whatever you want. This is completely up for you. But know that whatever you call it, your client will also see, all right? So name it properly, right? Don't say Fire Bob's lowball offer, because it's going to see it, right? And then also a lot of times we use like shorthands or acronyms. If I say the MCA or the Menzer, they don't know, right? So make sure you name it where they understand what they're receiving. And then underneath that, we have the participant order. We have sign in line. It's pretty self-explanatory. Signing participants sign in order, and simul sign first come first serve. My recommendation to you is use simul sign only. First come first serve. Why? Because sign in line could cause some headaches. The reason being is, can person B sign if person A is not signed? No, because it signs in a specific order. If person A starts to sign, but then leaves and stops after 15 minutes, not only does it kick them out, they go to the back of the line. So they don't go B, C, D, then A. Because some agents were saying, well, I'll use sign in line if I'm representing both parties and I need party 1 to sign and party 2. No, it's going to cause a huge issue. If party 1 started to sign and now goes to the back of the line and goes straight to party 2, they don't know, they're just going to sign. And now, so my recommendation is just use simul sign. That's what we're used to anyway. DocuSign, AR, eSign, works the exact same thing, all right? Now, we have some advanced options here. If I click on the plus to to maximize this view, we have some advanced options. And at this point, I always tell the class, I was able to meet the individuals who built the system, Lone Wolf and Instant Solutions. They flew out last November to train some of us. And I was interested because none of them were agents. None of them ever were real estate agents. So then I asked, did you guys like hire a brokerage to partner up with? No. So how did you come up with the system? It was two friends from Cal Poly who somehow realized there was a transaction management gap in the marketplace, and they developed the software. So they have like these bells and whistles in there that really, one, don't really translate to what it is to be an agent, and two, doesn't really make sense in Arizona. And I'm going to show you some of those as we go on. So in advanced options, we have expiration date, which I'm sure you could find a reason to if you'd like. That's just pretty self-explanatory. You can put your own expiration date on things if you need to. Reminders make me laugh though a little bit because look, when I want to send a reminder, notice the only thing that I can edit is when it sends and when it repeats. Not only that, my only option is in quantities of every 4 hours. So I can do 4, 8, 12, 16 and then repeat every 4, 8, 12, 16. They thought this was fantastic. And I said, no, if I'm in a situation where I need that many reminders, I'm in a counter or a multiple offer, how long is 4 hours in that case?
It's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime, right? I need a reminder every 45 seconds, right? Let alone every 4 hours. So
Right.
reminders to me don't really make sense in the system. And also, what are you probably doing when you're sending your client something to be signed? Texting or calling or I'm not gonna.
It's in your inbox.
Right.
sign
If
it.
it's a multiple offer, I'm not gonna say, all right, buyer Bob,
See
I
you in
hope you
4
sign this
hours.
in time. You're gonna make sure they do.
Can you set the expiration to not go to the set signing to expire?
Yes, by
Like
default,
auto-
it's do not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, all these by default are do not.
Okay.
And what I like about this is as you've left this last, is as it will be remained.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is the AuthentiSign ID position. All this is every single page that goes through AuthentiSign has a unique identifier showing it went through AuthentiSign. By default, this is at the top left. This has nothing to do with the form itself. I'm going to show you what it looks like when we get there. It has nothing to do with the form itself. One thing that I actually do click, because by default for you it is not selected, is hide signature keys on signed documents. Why I select that is because not only will you see the signature or the initial, you'll see a TransactionDesk icon, and then you'll see like a golden sticky note above every name and every initial. And it kind of looks like a mess. That's the best way I describe it. It looks like a golden sticky note above everywhere they've either signed or where they have initialed. So I put hide signature keys on signed documents. I click on that. All I want to see on my signed documents are what?
Signatures and
Just the
dates.
signature, initials, and dates, and whatever it is. That's it. I don't want to see anything else. So I click on that. You do not have to click on it every time. Remember, as you left it, it will remain. So you click on it once, and it will go on.
In this transaction.
In every transaction.
That's how that's
Every.
the
So
Yep.
many defaults
So that's
in
the
there.
that's the
That's the advanced options
options.
under step 1. Yep, this is for every transaction in the
So
system.
can you click on it again and just one more time?
Yep,
Okay.
so we have expiration, reminders,
So
AuthentiSign.
is the hide signature key checked already on everything?
No,
It's not.
but
You have to
yeah,
check
on
it.
your end it's not. On my end it is because that's how I left it. But by default, if you go in, it probably will not be. So check on it and then you can leave it like that. Yeah.
You don't have to save it.
No, it's gonna stay just like that, correct. So I'm gonna go to step 2 for our actual participants of the signing session itself. And notice who's not there again.
The
Bye.
buyer.
Buyers again, not there. Why is he not there? We never added as a transaction contact. So I need to click add and add again. Yes, you have to click it twice. And you click either add a new participant. We already know he's not inside his own transaction. He's not a repeat customer, or we do not have him in our contacts at least. We're not adding ourselves, so we're going to click add a new participant. And notice what they're calling him. They're just calling him a participant, which means he is just a participant for this one signing session. And you know as well as I do, we get things signed multiple times, right? So that means I would have to add them again and again and again. My saving grace though is I can click right here where it says save to contacts, but even there, he is still not a transaction contact. So I'm really kind of kicking a dead horse here, but the importance of step 3, when you got to contacts, to add your client, because if he was there, you wouldn't have to worry about any of this, all right? So that's why I wanted to show you what it looks like if you do not do that. You have to remember to add them on the forms. You have to add them as a participant in the signing session, and it becomes a much more tedious process. So what do we say? Starbucks v. Bob. Oops. I'm going to designate. I'm going to send it to myself so you know what it looks like. And then we need to designate the role as a buyer. And now we have these 4 options here. I have remote signer, I have in-person signer, I have reviewer, and I have CC only. My recommendation to you is just use remote signer. Just use remote signer. I'm going to explain in a second. Just use remote signer. Remote signer works just like DocuSign and eSign, where they get an email, they click on it, they sign, it comes back. That's it, right? In-person signer sounds like it would be interesting, and it was when I first heard about it, but when you hear the term in-person signer, what do you think that means?
They're sitting with the
They're sitting right here, right? If Coffee Joe was right here, I should be able to go like this, and they sign. That's how I take in-person signer. That's not what Lone Wolf thinks. Lone Wolf says...
That's why they're lone wolf.
That's why they're all alone, yeah. In-person signer says there's a host email and signing host pin that's going to be sent to. And I asked Lone Wolf and said, why is there a signing host pin? I'm like, well, our attorneys advise us that we put in an extra layer of security so an agent just can't go in and sign on everybody's behalf. And you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Then 5 minutes later, we come to find out who creates a signing host pin. The agent. The agent does. Isn't that ridiculous?
What kind of attorneys did they use?
Yeah, exactly. So I am the one who creates a
Not
signing
one
host
that
pin.
graduated from Harvard,
Yeah.
for sure.
I create the signing host pin. Is really any extra layer of security there? No, right? So I recommend you do not use in-person signer, because even again, if I was going to do an in-person signing on someone's machine and I meet Starbucks Coffee Joe back at Starbucks,
He's got his phone.
he's his phone, or what, if we are going to use someone's computer, who would we probably use? Mine own anyway, right? So I don't see the need of this host email. What it means is it's going to be sent to the designated host who could host all of the signings. So if you're at Buyer Bob's house and he says, hey, everybody come sign on my desktop, then sure, I'm sure you'll find a reason, but you brought it up. What does Buyer Bob probably have on him? Some form of smartphone, even if it's 10 years old, it's probably able to do that. If he doesn't have a smartphone that's 10 years old, you're probably doing a physical signing anyway.
Right.
All right? All right, so let's not do in-person signing.
Don't put anything in there.
Leave it alone.
Oh,
Yep, don't even scratch it out.
Or
It's
if you want remote signer, though.
Yeah, you want remote signer. So see where I select remote signer versus in-person? So stay on remote. The only reason I'm telling you
Not
this
stay out of in-person.
Yep. The next one I recommend you do not use is right here when I select reviewer. Reviewer makes no sense in Arizona because the reviewer is at the end of the entire signing process. Think of them as like the Roman emperor, all right? At the end of the signing process, they give a thumbs up or a thumbs down after everybody is signed. If they give a thumbs down, what do you think that means?
That means it's
Everything's gone, right? Everything is done. The signature gets removed. And I said again, Lone Wolf, why did you do this? And they said, well, we had feedback that either clients, attorneys, or lawyers need to review. It's like, yes, in certain states like Illinois, for example, if a buyer and a seller sign a purchase contract, it's meaningless. Until when?
attorney review.
Attorney reviews and stamps and approves, right? In Arizona, however, if I want to sell my car to you right now, I can write it on this, I sign, you sign, we're good to go, right? Contract law in Arizona, which is delivery with real estate, but that's it. I do not have an attorney whatsoever. So again, I do not recommend you add a reviewer. If you have a client who says, can you please have my lawyer review this, send him a copy, right? Send him a copy. Because in Arizona, will you ever have an attorney tell you, sign first, then I'll review?
No.
No, never, right? Never. So again, it does not make sense for us here. So do not select in-person signer, do not select reviewer. One that I actually do use quite frequently is CC only. CC only. Why I like CC only is because it's just that. They get a carbon copy of the final signed document. So let's say that I'm on the phone with a listing agent and Buyer Bob is signing the offer right now. I could have added the listing agent as a CC only. As soon as Buyer Bob hits enter, it's going to go straight to them. DocuSign has a version of this. The problem with DocuSigns, however, is that you see all the correspondence. With this, they see nothing except the executed signed documents. I also use this all the time if I am the executor of an addendum, let's say. Let's say the other party originated extension to close of escrow. My client's the one who's going to execute it.
Right.
I can add the lender and the title as a CC only. They get it automatically. So instead of waiting for it to come back,
And then email.
yep, downloading out of my computer or forwarding that email, it just goes to them automatically. Does that
So-
make sense?
So question, because that's a good feature.
Yes.
But concern is you have to follow up to make sure that they received it. Will it say like, please,
Yes.
you know,
Confirm receipt.
confirm receipt, I put that on everything.
Yes, and the great thing about this system is that they have the ability to reply back to that email, and it goes back to your general email.
Okay.
So it's not, a lot of these systems have a do not reply, which is a little
Yes,
annoying.
ridiculous.
With this one, it's a reply, it tells them, you can reply directly to the sender, and it'll go to your,
So it won't
email.
come through TransactionDesk, it comes through my.
yes, it'll go back to your email. We'll see an example of that in a second,
That's,
yes.
that's
Yes.
clutch.
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So the CC, you put that on there, then that, instead of me sitting there, you know, I get the zip form back, give me something, okay, everything, all documents are signed, then I forward that to the listing agent or whomever.
Yes.
On this, so when I get that back, it comes to me with all the signatures, and it automatically goes to the listing agent.
If you added them as a CC, yes.
Okay.
So
Yes.
you can have remote signer and CC. Check.
Correct, right? So right now I'm adding Starbucks buyer Bob. If I need to add somebody as a CC, I click add another, type their name and email, and select them as a CC.
Okay, so you have to, do you hit the CC first and
No,
then
no.
add another? You have to add
What
another
about the-
first.
oh,
Hold on. So we have Starbucks buyer Bob we're
Yes.
selecting as a remote signer.
Correct.
Let's see, at this point, I now want to add a CC.
Right.
Now from here I go add another, because I'm adding a new participant now.
Okay.
And now I get to select, what are they? Are they remote, in-person, reviewer,
Oh,
CC?
it opens another screen.
Yes, it opens a whole nother screen.
Ah.
Yes.
So you can do that to the title company or loan
That's exactly what I do. I use it for the title company loan officer all the time,
Right.
especially with addendums or extension or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
With that, can you select specific documents that they get? So like if you're doing like your listing packaging, you have a ton of things that you're really not going to send on as your offer. Can you select certain documents to CC?
From
Or
this
the whole
signing
thing?
session, no. From
Okay.
this signing session, anything that's part of the session goes.
Okay.
But I'll show you later where you can manually select, like right now, I don't need to send the buyer advisory or all that things to the agent. I could go in after I get everything back and still email from the system by selecting those individual forms or documents. But from this screen, everything that's part of that session goes as you add CC. So I use it once in a while, probably honestly on like offers, but mainly with addendums and all those things for lender and title, because it's those one-off forms.
Right.
Any other questions?
Great.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit close, and there it is. Starbucks buyer Bob is now a participant here. And we're gonna go to step 3, which are the documents. And notice we already have a document here, because remember, we started this whole signing session inside of this agency disclosure, right? But at this point, if I wanted to add anything else, I still can. Even though I clicked on the pen inside the agency disclosure, it says add. It gives me the option to add, and it even asks, where are you adding from? And almost any way you could think of, you could add something. If you have any one of these clouds, you could add. I could upload via email, fax if you have it, file from your computer, other transactions. So anything in the entire system, anything on your computer, anything on your cloud, I can upload anything to this, which is nice. Instead of having to manually add it to the transaction in the beginning. If I like think right now, oh yeah, my broker has their own mold disclosure. I can add it right now. Or we have a pool disclosure, whatever it is. I can add all of that now, even though I started the signing session in the agency disclosure. Does that make sense? Okay.
So where, if you have it on your desktop, you just hit.
I'll hit upload file. Yep, exactly. Yep. If I happen to remember that it was in one of the other transactions I've done, I could go here. Yeah, you can go almost anywhere.
Well, wouldn't you set your template up with it anyway?
Exactly. Once you set your template with it anyway. Exactly. Great.
Well, sometimes you forget,
Yeah.
or
some-
there's a document that's been signed
Yeah.
by hand.
Or I've had brokers that are like, no, we're using this affiliate business disclosure. All right, now we got to switch, right? Things change. But yes, best practice would have already been in your template. All right, step 4, we have design. So step 3 was a document. Step 4 is design. This is where you actually design the signing session itself. All right, what I mean by that is you can place the signatures, place the initials, but if we scroll down, it's already there for us. We have sign here and the dates.
So what happens if you forget to check a box, like you forgot in my templates, all my boxes are checked with
Right.
the buyers and whatever. But what happens if, you upload something and you forgot to check the buyer box?
We're gonna do drag and drop and markup options right in the
Oh,
next
okay.
signing. Yeah, but I will show you that.
Oh,
You-
okay,
you
oh, I
can't-
see markup.
Yep, markup and drag and drop. What I want to focus on right now, though, is that see how this auto-populated for us? This only auto-populates half of the time. All right. What I mean by that, and I want to make sure we don't get confused here. There's a difference between forms and documents. Forms and documents. Forms are anything that you create or you originate that remain in your system. Forms are anything that you create that remain in your system. If it leaves the system, it comes back as a document. If it was uploaded via a third-party source, it is uploaded as a document. So what that means, so why I want you to understand the difference is because of how these auto-populate. So for example, right now this agency disclosure is a form. It's going to leave the system, come back to me as a document. Who originates a purchase contract?
A form.
Yep, it's a form, it's a buyer. So right now the purchase contract would be a form. It leaves the system, comes back signed as a, I send that document now to the listing agent. The listing agent also receives that as a document. Why do we need to understand the difference between those two? Because auto-population of names, dates, initials only populate to forms only. They only populate to forms only, not to documents. So in my example earlier, if I was the buyer's agent, I create the purchase contract, right? Since that is a form, all of my buyer's initials, where their signature needs to go, is going to automatically populate. If I was a listing agent who's received that purchase contract, and now my seller needs to sign it, will any of the seller signatures be there?
No.
No, all right? So I want to make sure you understand, forms and documents, it only populates to forms only, not to documents. This is where AAR esign does have a leg up, because AAR esign can recognize any space, right? Lone Wolf is working that if it is, a legible PDF, sometimes they email something over to you and it's all messed up. It's either, sideways or it's been scanned a million times. And so if they get something like that, the system's not going to be able to recognize it. But if it comes over as pretty much a clear document, it will be able to identify those different line options, so your seller signatures will pop up on there. But for now, it only populates to forms only, not documents. Yes?
Okay, so when we upload our own documents, are we able to, say, put in the text box for their signature?
Yes.
You have to drag and
But
drop.
you have to manually do it.
I understand.
But yes, you can do that. Yes. All right, so I'm going to hit, go ahead.
So another question, on esign, it would put the form on the two lead-based paints, it would give you,
It still does that.
it still does.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to see that when we do an actual offer
I
here.
wish it wouldn't do it so I could just drag and drop
Drag
it
and drop.
myself,
Same thing on the
instead of Xing it
So I'm
out.
going to hit next and get this actually sent. Here I can send a custom email via the subject or text in that email. I'm just going to send a regular invitation so you can see what it looks like. Hit OK. And now it's going to bring us back to the signing section of this specific transaction. If I want to see all the signings ever done in the entire system, where do I go?
To the right.
To the
Left.
left. The whole system.
Yeah, the whole system is the
Yeah,
hamburger.
the whole system. Left, authenticign. So remember, the whole system's left, this transaction, right. Okay? All right, so.
I have a question, I forgot to ask.
No worries.
Back to, I think it was step 2, where you're doing remote signer or,
Yeah, CC in
yeah,
person.
CC.
Yeah.
Okay, on the email section, that is the buyer. So that would be Starbucks buyer Bob.
Yes.
What if you have a husband and wife and they share the same email?
Yeah, so eSign does not allow that. This one does.
Okay.
You just have to create another contact. So it would be buyer Bob,
With the same
and then
email.
add another Mrs. Buyer Bob, same exact email
Okay.
address. You can do that.
It
Yes.
has to go to their,
Yes. It has to be addressed to them as individuals though.
Okay.
Yes, but you can do that.
because each person needs to be identified.
Yeah. All right, so I have 2 gears here. So I want to show you these 3 options you will see in a signing session after it's been sent. You will either see these 2 gears. If I hover over it, it says that's in the wizard. What this means is it's never officially been sent. So I might have started the process, I might have added multiple forms and documents, I might have added participants, I might have done the entire thing, but I've never officially sent it. We should see a lightning bolt for ours, right there. There's Starbucks buyer Bob. Here's a lightning bolt. I hover over that, it means that's in progress. This means that it's been sent. If you see a lightning bolt and it gives you a red hand, let's go look at this. This means
Bad
that it's been
email.
bad email. It got bounced back. So the system's going to notify you and say, hey, it did not go through. Double check this email. But for us, we have the lightning bolt, which means it has gone through. Once it's been completed, we get a nice little celebratory ribbon there. All right. So let me go to my email and let's sign this.
You're awarded.
You are awarded for signing. All right, remember, by default, they see what you call it, right? So right here, we didn't change the default name. So there it is in the subject. It's also in the message. It cut off the E, too many characters. Just like DocuSign and eSign though, right? They click on anything, click here. It opens up the signing session. The first thing it's going to do is make sure that they are not a robot. If for whatever reason the system does think they are robots, they're going to have to do, if you guys had to click on the street lights, click on the storefronts, they have to do one of those, all right? Until they go crazy. All right, so I'm not a robot. Hopefully it brings us in. And the first thing I want to show you, here's that AuthentiSign ID. Remember in advanced options by default in the top left? That's what that was in reference to. If you're like, I hate that, I want it to be on the bottom right, it's completely up to you. It's nothing to do with the form itself, all right? The client can scroll through and physically click where they need to sign, or just like with other signing services, they click on start, it shoots them where they want to go, and they're done, all right? So complete signing is going to take them out. Standard review, again, allows them to review. Reset only resets their signatures. So let's say there are 3 people signing. Person 1 and 2 sign. Person 3 hits resets. It will only reset person 3, all right? It's not like the reviewer won't reset everybody.
So reset, he doesn't want to sign it.
Reset, or sometimes I've seen reset, because when they hit start, you see how it flies them through?
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, what just
Yeah,
happened,
I
right?
did that, right?
And they might reset, or I would say just stay in review, they can still review it, but yeah. All right, complete signing. It's going to ask them if they would like to create a password. This password allows them to log on to the system indefinitely for however long it exists, for them to access anything they've ever signed. Notice it's not asking them to create a username. By default, their username is the email address that this was sent to. So if your client wants to make their own password to the system, they can log on to see anything they've ever signed. This adheres to what? Code of Ethics Article 9, which says we have to give clients copies of everything they signed.
So does that constitute then the copy? So
It does,
I don't need to say,
exactly.
here's your copy of?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least according to Sevrar's Code of Ethics Committee, I asked them, would this adhere to Code of Ethics if I gave them this? They said, yeah, okay. The good news is, if they say no thanks, which a lot of clients might, if they say no thanks, they still get an email copy of what they just signed. All right, so if they say no thanks, it tells them in this next screen, hey, you're going to get an email copy of what you just signed. If they deleted that email for whatever reason, they could have made a password to find it or contact you to get it reset. Okay, so let's go back into the system now.
That's good that they get it.
I'm going to go to the dashboard. Or actually, no, let's go to my email. We should see 2 emails now. One email is that a signing action has taken place. You will get a signing action has taken place when the client has opened it and started the process. And then you're going to get a final email showing that it's been completed, and it gives you the copy right here. A lot of times these e-services do not give you an automatic copy. You have to add yourself as a CC. This one provides you an automatic copy here in your email. I can click on it right now. There's the PDF of the signed agency disclosure. Okay.
So then that's downloaded and whatnot.
Yep, it's downloaded as a PDF. All right, now let's go. I'm going to the dashboard. I'm going to go back into Starbucks Buyer Bob, which again we could find here, or where else can I find the transactions?
You can go to the,
You have to go to the
Left, transaction desk, and I can do what? I could also search. I really want you to understand the search functionality, because right now, yes, we only have 12. I only have 12 active transactions in the system. Hopefully, 5 years from now, we have 300, right? And then I can search our transactions instead of scrolling through that widget. So here it is, Starbucks Buyer Bob, and now it's going to bring us to the transaction dashboard, and we have the forms widget. Notice I have the real estate agency disclosure and election buyer. In the document widget, I have the exact same thing. Which one is the signed one? In the documents, right? In the documents. Because it left the system and came back. Here's a quick pop quiz again. I'm going to close this, give you the answer. If I want to see all of the documents for this transaction, where do I go? This transaction, right? And then where? Right here, documents, right? Documents. Documents, all right? So if I want to see all the documents for this transaction, right? The entire system on the left. So here are the documents, so I open it up. There's our lovely fax back cover sheet, still going to be there. And our signed agency disclosure is here as well. So here it is.
So what does certificate mean?
This is all of like those pages of the appliance.
okay.
Right, exactly.
That's like how we sign
Yes.
things.
Do you ask any question or no?
The name doesn't change or whatever, it just goes by. I didn't.
Oh, so yeah, if we want to rename this, Snowman. Rename, yep. All right, now if I want to go to all of the forms for this transaction, again on the right, there are the forms. Here's the blank agency disclosure now. Is there a reason to keep this? You can,
Yeah,
but if we wanted to delete it, what can we do?
Just use the bar, the little dots.
Snowman, right, exactly, delete, great. Okay, so you can delete things. The snowman.
Snowman.
All right, so transaction dashboard. We're back to square one. At this point, we spent over an hour and a half trying to get an agency disclosure signed. Finally got it signed. Now, let's fast forward a few weeks, and let's say that buyer Bob finds a house. Buyer Bob says, yes, I've gone a couple of tours. This is great. Let's make an offer. All right, so I'm going to start from scratch. Let's go to the agent dashboard. Remember, the dashboard is a home screen to the system. I'm going to go to Flex now, and let's find a house with some docs. This one has docs. How many docs does it have? Only one. Let's find some more docs.
I always thank the agents when they upload everything.
We need to get, we need to find like a Zillow listing, then we'll have 1,000 docs. Come on, there's got to be.
Come on, give us ones with at least spuds, my God, you
Consider
have to
that
supply them
sense.
anyway.
That's good enough. All right,
Perfect.
809 West Suncoast Drive.
That person did their.
Yeah, who is this? Anybody here? Because we're going to really go in on this listing. But that's fine. All right, so remember, above the list price of any listing in the system, we have this icon here. Does it make sense to click on this now, though? No. Why? We already have a transaction going on, right? We already have a transaction going on. So in my scenario earlier, we were at Starbucks and I had a casual conversation. If, however, it was different, let's say the client came up to me and says, oh my gosh, you're an agent, I want to make an offer now. If that happens to you, by the way, let me know. It's never happened to me. If that happens to you, right, yeah, where's that Starbucks at? Then sure I could start here, right? Then sure I could start here. But I already have a transaction in place.
Right.
Because I would have hopefully already have my template going on. You don't have to do it this way. I know you're kind of like,
No, but but that's how I would go into transaction, you said.
you can. But I'm saying, in my case, I already have a transaction in
But it's
place.
in there, right? In transaction desk.
No,
This
that's
one.
This is
No.
one of the 3 ways you can. see
Remember, if I click on it here,
It's gonna.
Yeah,
this will not only bring me into the system,
yeah.
this will create a new transaction. Transaction.
So your buyer election will not be in there.
So let me maybe you're confused here. We have transaction desk right here, and I have a transaction desk right here.
Oh, 2 different
Yes,
places.
this transaction
That
desk
takes
that
you
just
to-
brings me into the system.
So
That's just
which one,
creates a transaction. Is like the MLS Connect.
yeah,
It's this one.
yeah. That's
So-
where I would start, I think.
Yeah, that's completely fine. You could do that. Yes.
But the other one is because you already started
Yes.
up there.
I already have buyer Bob going in progress, right? I already have process, right?
But you should have the agency election already
Yeah.
done before you start doing the
Right.
transaction.
But you can have a signed copy physical, right? But yes, you could
Oh, I
do
see
it.
what she's saying.
Yeah, you could do it however you want.
That should
I'm
be
just
signed
letting you know.
first.
Since we already have a transaction going, there's no reason to click here because now we're gonna have 2 transactions. Or what happens if my first offer, do all of our offers get accepted?
No.
What happens if my offer gets rejected? Am I gonna start a whole new transaction because it's a whole new property address? No, right? So I can bring over the new MLS information. So since I already have a transaction in place, instead I'm going to copy that MLS ID number. I'm going to copy the MLS ID number here. All right. So however you want, you can write it down, Control C, right click, copy, however you want to do it. And I'm going to go back into the system now. So here we go. If I need to find my transaction, again, I can scroll through. For us, obviously, it's on the top, Starbucks Buyer Bob. And I'm in the transaction we already created. At this point, I'm going to edit, change, and modify this entire transaction. What would I click? The snowman. Why not this one here? It's only related to this one form,
Because
right?
you wanna
I'm
do
changing
all
the
of it.
entire transaction, right? So I'm going to click snowman, import data. Snowman, import data. And then it asks, where are you importing from? Remember, this does work statewide. If you have other board association access, feel free. I'm only a member of Armless. But you'll see your drop downs if you do have that access. I'm going to choose residential. This mirrors MLS, right? I'm going to choose residential. And now I'm going to paste that MLS ID number in. Okay? And this is a little annoying because automatically populate forms by default is not checked, which is annoying. I've asked them to change this. They have not changed this yet. But the whole reason I'm doing any of this is to what?
Automatically
Right.
It is
That's
to
what we
automatically
wanted
populate
to
forms,
do.
right? So why? So again, now we get to the third most common text that I get. The third most
Documents not
common.
working.
Yes.
My form.
Why didn't my population work? Where are the details? Where are all a variance of all those things? They all stem from the same problem. the agent did not click here. So we hope that it becomes an automatic check.
I would think
But
so, that's the whole point of the process.
I want to click here and then imports. So just because you put the MLS ID number in, great. All that's going to do is update your details. It will not populate to any of your forms. Not only will it not populate to the forms, but let's remember, if I go back to this listing in the Documents tab, I want all of these to automatically come over as well.
Right, sign.
Right? I want them to come over. Instead of downloading these and uploading them, I want all of them to come over automatically. So,
But if they have like a floor
they
plan.
all come over. You can still delete them, but yeah, they all come over. Like Zillow, yeah, they have
I'd
like
rather have
20.
too much than not enough.
Yeah. So automatically populate forms. Now when I click import, we should see property address populates, the MLS ID number in, and the population of all these details here. Not only that, remember all of those documents that came over from the MLS should automatically come over as well. So it updated now, listing ID number and the property address. Remember when we were in our wizard, the details section of the wizard were completely blank? Now if I go to the wizard, we should see, or not the wizard, the details, we should see all the information populated in.
So does that then populate onto the TIS form or no?
The TIS, no, it will, yes.
Okay.
So now let me go to my purchase contract. Let's see what's on our purchase contract here. Scroll down. All right, notice what's missing.
Our buyer, because he was in.
Our buyer is still not there because why? We never added him as a transaction contact. So hopefully you now get the real point, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Add the client as a contact in step 3. What else is missing?
Legal description.
Legal description, which I'm surprised usually it comes there. And a lot of times you'll see the seller as referenced as who? Client of XYZ Realty, right? In the MLS. Or my favorite is the seller is you showing time. You've seen that a few times. That's exactly how it will come over as well. So what does that mean? This information is being pulled from where?
It's pulled from the MLS.
Not
the tax record.
Not the tax
and
records.
it should be pulled from the tax
should be the tax records,
period.
right? So
As long
since
as
it's
the
pulled
MLS
from the
system.
MLS, who put this information in?
This is the agent.
The listing agent. Our listing agent is perfect.
I don't know.
No, right? So yes, it came over. Double check all that information.
Should
Double
be.
check all the information. It is not being pulled from the tax records.
That's what it should
Is that something they're gonna change?
According
not-
to Armless, no.
And you know what? It was never pulled from the tax
Yeah, it
record.
never was either. It never has. Even
Not
zip
here.
forms.
In Maryland,
Yes.
DC, they pull from
Yeah,
the
so
tax
I don't know if
records.
it's a monsoon issue or if it's an armless issue,
It's an
but
armless
when
issue.
I asked armless, they said no. AAR wants it to, but again, that's what I'm saying. We have all these different organizations. So, but yes, in a perfect world, it would be tax records
Yeah.
because I know that it's the seller's names, I know it's
Yeah,
the,
it's the
right.
legal description.
But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it does not, right?
Okay.
So once you start this, can you pull it in from Monsoon then?
Yeah, I could manually override all this. All this I could override, yes.
You can't pull it in from us.
But no, there's no way to
You can't
pull,
do it in.
there's no way to pull in, yep,
You should always
exactly.
pull the tax record anyway before
Yeah,
you do it.
double check all of this because as we know, the listing agent filled it out, but yes, I can type any of this information over. So that's fine. Let me show you some of the glitches here. I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom. Look away, I'll tell you, look back up. Okay. So, agent's information came over, listing agent. I'll assume it's okay. Again, I'll double check to make sure. Let's take a look at my information here. Look at my firm MLS code. Does that look like an MLS code to you?
Not quite.
Oh, that's a nerd's ID number, right?
Yeah.
I've since updated my agent MLS code, but your agent MLS code probably will also be your nerd's ID number. That's one of those glitches that's happening right now. Also, your phone number is probably incorrect. Your phone number is probably the number to your office, not your preferred phone number. So again, I could go in and override this manually, or I'll show you later in preferences where to change this permanently, all right? But if you scroll through, make sure you double check all this information. And again, I could go ahead and type in the actual broker, you know, whatever it is, every single time, or I can show you in preferences. You don't have to worry about it, yes.
Okay.
If you have two agents on there, is there a way to add them both before you get to this, or you always have to manually do it?
No, there is a way to add it. So when we're in contact section, I could then add that other agent. Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll show you, because we're gonna finally add our buyer now, and I'll show you how to add the agent as well, all right? So these are the glitches in the purchase contract. Agent ID is incorrect, your firm MLS code is incorrect, and your phone is probably also not correct as well, all right? Hopefully those glitches get solved, but as of right now, it is what it is, all right? It's not gonna stop me from doing my business, I can guarantee you that.
Right.
All right, so additional terms and conditions, page 8, additional terms and conditions. This is where it looks like they're all single line, but as soon as I start typing, it turns into a multi-line text box. Why this is great is because I can now add clauses, all right? So you can add clauses as default clauses inside of either your templates or even outside of your templates. You can add clauses anywhere. So a clause only gets added to multi-line text boxes. Right now, the only multi-line text boxes there are is additional terms and conditions and the abenzer. You would think the addendum, but the addendum right now is not a multi-line text box. I know, and we told them, can you please, but as of right now, as of 2 days ago, I should be accurate because they're making changes all the time. The only multi-line text boxes is here, additional terms, and the abenzer. That's the only place I can add clauses, all right? And I'll show you where to add clauses when we get to creating templates, okay? But just know that. Just like with zip or anything else, if you use dot loop, whatever it is, they work the same way. I would go ahead and fill out all the information I need to fill out now. Any of the numbers, the title, anything else. It's best practice, obviously, to fill it now because it's fillable. If I forget to fill some of these things out, I can still add a text box in the signing session, but you have to drag the text box. It's a lot easier to do all of it now, all right? Now, how do I get out of this screen again? File, do what? I say save, feel free. You want to test all, save, go for it. File, save, exit, and I'm out. What else do we expect to see? All of these. Where would we see these in our transaction?
Hopefully in the forms.
Nope, documents.
Documents, right?
Oh, yeah, because they
They
came
came over as documents. So on the right, documents. If I click on documents, there they are. The HOA, PMCA, and the SPUDs. So I need to get this signed now. I need to go ahead and get this offer off to be signed. First, we need to do what? Add our buyer finally as a contact. So I'm going to go to the contacts of this specific transaction again. On the right, here are the contacts. If I needed to edit the seller's information, there it is. Right? If it did come over as client of XYZ Realty, I could go ahead and edit that information as well. Listing agent, the broker came over, and now let me add my buyer as a contact. So add. This time he is an existing contact, right? Because remember when we did a signing session, I clicked Save to Contacts.
Right.
So he is an existing contact now. I can hit Add Existing Contact and just search. What was his first name? Starbucks, I think?
Starbucks
Starbucks Buyer Bob. So there you go. Starbucks Bob. Great. Select. And now it's going to make sure the information is still the same. Yes, he's still a buyer. His middle name is B. Here's the email. And I like that it gives you the option for a legal name versus a preferred signature here. Because let's say his legal name is Starbucks B. Robert, but his preferred signature is the trustee of whatever it needs to be. You have that ability to put that distinction here. With AAR esign and some of these other things, you have to name the contact that, right?
Yeah.
With this one, it's like, no, the name is Starbucks Bob, his legal name is Robert, but he's signing as the trustee of whatever it is. So you have that functionality here in the system, which is nice. Now, let's say I have a co-listing agent, or in this case, another buyer's agent, same exact thing. I add, create a new transaction contact, and have all these different types to choose from. And I would choose in a new buyer's agent. That's how you can do that as well. All right. Okay. Now, even though we brought those forms over, he's automatically going to populate all the forms. So I don't have to worry about going in line by line or form by form. Now that he's added here, he automatically populates over, which is nice. So we need
But
to
he
get...
populates into the documents that were brought in?
No, just forms.
Forms,
Yep,
right,
exactly.
okay.
Just forms, not documents, just
Right,
forms.
you have to add.
You have to add them onto documents.
Correct.
So let's go ahead and get this offer signed, right? When you get it signed before we can submit it. So let's do the second way to do a signing session. The first way, if you remember, was by clicking on the pen inside of a form or a document.
Right.
You click on the pen. The second way is by going to the signing section of a specific transaction. So here we are. I'm in the signing section right here. I click on signings. We should see a ribbon for our agency disclosure, which is great. And now I'm going to click add. And immediately when I click add, it makes me create the signing name now. So I click on add. I think this is called Suncoast, right? Suncoast Drive Offer. Great. By default, go to new signing is already checked, which is yes, I want to go to new signing. Save, and now I'm being brought back into AuthentiSign. The first time we did this, it seems like it's going to take forever, That's because we're going through each advanced option, each stage. In all reality, if you remember, your advanced options stayed the same as you left them, so you're good. I go straight to participants. Now Buyer Bob is here as an actual participant. Click here, remote signer, add. That's it, right? When we were doing it the first time, we're going item by item by item, so it made it seem like it's a long time. But really, if you know that you're doing a remote signer for any of your client signatures, you add in, you're off to the races. If I now need to add somebody else, let's say I want to add my transaction coordinator as a CC to this. Add, new participant, their information. I'm going to show you in templates where I encourage you to add your contacts in a template. Your transaction coordinators, your broker management systems, your lender, your title. That way you don't have to always fill in the information. You just select them from a list. All right?
Why would I use the pen rather than the signing?
So why I like doing this way versus the other way is when I get here, I'm going to show you. When I get to step 3 here, it brings up the view automatically of all of the forms and documents in this transaction.
So that's not the pen.
That's not the pen, that's the signings.
Signing.
The pen, I have to go to add, and then select add where I'm adding from.
Maybe
It just
the
takes
pen
us
would be
away.
if you have just one piece of paper.
Yeah, usually a pen's like one-off forms, I'd say. Signings, I
This
use,
would be for the whole contract.
yeah, multiple PDFs, correct. All right, now we have Instanet forms up here and DocBox documents, and we're gonna test our knowledge. I have an HOA addendum here in forms. I have an HOA addendum here in documents, right? Which is the one I need to send off to get signed?
Document.
Documents, why?
Because
Well, exactly, it came over, so I can select individual, whatever I want to send. Click by click, right? I have a combination of documents. I have a combination of forms. Now I can change the view of how it's sorted. What I mean by that is when my client goes into a signing session, what's the first thing you want them to see? You could change that option here. If I want to be the purchase contract, it's there. If I want to be the buyer advisory, I can click on the arrow, and now it's going to make the buyer advisory first. You can go ahead and change the order of how your client scrolls through and sees these things. All right? So I'm going to go to design now, just like we did before. But now we have a combination of forms and documents. So while this is loading, right now, the buyer advisory is a form or a document?
Form,
Form, why?
because it's not signed.
We created it, right? We created the buyer advisories. In our system, it has not been signed, it's not left the system, right? So it is a form. Since it is a form, if I scroll down to the last page, what do I expect to see?
A signature.
A signature already there for us, all right? So let me scroll through. Remember this updated, they don't initial every page anymore. There we go. There it is for us. Same thing on the purchase contract, form or document at this point? Form, so should we expect to see initials?
Yes.
Yes, we do. All right, so scroll through, and let's go to our lovely lead-based paints. Let's see what we see, and there it is. Both places, right? Both places. So you just click on it, and you'll see the trash can, or you can right-click and do the trash can again. Now, since I deleted both, let's talk about those drag and drop options here. Just like with eSign, I can click on the arrow. If I have multiple signing, this is how I can designate who I'm assigning these to. I only have Buyer Bob, but if I had 4 people, I'd have different options. Drag and drop is for the signer themselves. So obviously these ones are pretty self-explanatory. Sign here, optional, initial here, initial optional. Initial group will place 2 initials side by side. Still not really figured out where to use that, but it's there. A red checkbox is a forced checkbox. They have to click on this checkbox if you put this there. The blue checkbox is an optional checkbox. They have the option to check it or not. You have a forced red radio button. Again, I don't know when you use that, but it's there.
So the red check could be for lead-based paint,
Um,
because they have
Like if
to
it was
choose.
built before.
Or
after.
counter offer.
yeah, counter offer, or where you need to put a check, but the initials were our initial. But yes, I could place the check wherever a checkbox needs to go. HOA addendum, I use the red checkbox. Completely up to you, yeah. But it's forced. Just know that's a forced checkbox. They cannot bypass it.
Oh, okay, so optional then would be,
I've used optional on like spuds. I made the spuds a fillable form where they could go in their yes, no's and click on all those. You can
Oh,
do
they
that.
could fill that out?
If you make it a fillable form, they can, yes.
Oh.
They can.
They never used to be able to do that.
No. So the blue checkbox, but again, you're the one who has to put in all the yes, no's. But you do it one time and you save it and it's a fillable form forever. So
What do you mean, oh, you can't put the snows in the spuds, they have to put that.
you put the checkboxes for them to
you can put
select.
the checkbox,
So-
so you check
So
the
you decide,
whole
yeah.
box. You have
One
to run
time.
through the whole box.
One
So
time.
they can fill it out
Yes.
online
Yes.
You have
instead
to
of.
put X's on
well-
every box and then they get to choose.
Yes.
But you do it one time.
Yep, it took me 20
Yeah, no,
minutes,
I get
one
that.
time, and you're done.
I get
Yes.
that.
Now, you're probably getting to it, so the difference between the document and the
Well, the
form,
web-based
say
they
like
need to
if
make
it's
up
a
this what direction
brokerage specific form that we include, then that, it'll be different. I mean, I can pull that over, but it's not gonna like automatically, I'm gonna have to say where it needs to be signed. Is that
Yes,
what I'm-
exactly, and we're gonna see that in just a
Okay,
second.
okay.
So, I'm gonna finish the drag and drop here. Blue's optional, red radio button, I don't know when you'd use it, but it's there. We have the dates, signer name is the print of their name, Initial pages allows you to change the size of where it says initial here or sign here if you want to. This T is not for time, this T is a text. This text is not for you, this text is for them. The text box in drag and drop is for them to type whatever they want to type. So again, be careful on where you place this. Where I have placed it, yeah, put this on additional terms and conditions, they're gonna say, yeah, the house is free, right? So the text box that I use is again making the spots a fillable form. Putting the yes, no's, putting a text box for them to type whatever they want to type on their own spuds. You do it one time and it saves that way. If you need a text box now, it's in markup. So let's first put the initial. I'm going to drag and drop the initial, right? And let's go up to title. Let's say I forgot to fill in the title information or I missed something here. This is where I now, with my markup tools, have a text box. So the difference between drag and drop text and a markup text. This markup text is for me right now to go ahead and type whatever I need to type, right? Those blue lines do go away. They're just here for reference. They will go away.
If you made it a full blue box, the whole thing, would it just allow you to type in the whole?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, you can make it as large and definitely keep typing, yes. You have a freeform pen, which I know when you use it, but it's there. You have different highlighting functionality, but what's ADRE's official stance on highlighting? Do not do it, right? Absolutely do not highlight. Why? Because they can infer to the consumer that the only important aspect of this legally binding contract is where you've highlighted. So do not highlight. Judy listed it multiple times. Do not highlight on contracts. I would just highlight, why am I not deleting? I would just, she said the only place you can highlight is where it says buyer to assign or initial, whatever it is. Do not highlight anywhere else, all right? So markup is for you right now, drag and drop is for the client. So let's go down to our documents here. Let's go down to that HOA addendum, and let's see if they filled out page 3 for us. They did not, good. Good job. A lot of times these are all coming out filled out. So if now I want to put, okay, there's the client's name. Again, I could change the size, I could change the color. If I want to add my own additional terms and conditions here, I could go ahead and do that. If I want to say, you know, seller to pay any and all undisclosed fees, you can type that. Whatever you want to do, you can fill this out. If I want to put a red checkbox on we're splitting or the seller or the buyer, again, you have all the markup tools for you right now. And remember, the drag and drop is a forced checkbox for them. All right. Now let's go down to the signature. I have the buyer's signature here. Remember, it did not populate for us. Why? Because this is a document. So I have to remember to come in, drag the signature where it needs to go, drag the date. So remember, on documents, they do not auto-populate. And the system will not warn you that you're missing something. So if you send this off and you didn't fill out any of these places, the client's going to send it back to you signed, and then you're going to go, well, you missed the HOA, you missed all this. No, because you didn't place it there. Does that make sense? So on documents, scroll through and make sure you're not missing anything. Same thing, they sent over their signed MCA. I have to come in here and drag and drop, you know, whatever it is, all right? So I'm not going to do it in every place. You guys get the gist.
Right.
One thing I want to point out, though, is time. Notice how there's no time here, all right? There's no time for drag and drop. There's only dates. You would think date goes with time, but apparently to Lone Wolf it does not. So the only way to add time is I'm going to come over here.
Like you did in the e-sign, you had to drop down and it said time.
Yep, so I have to click on either a signature or an initial block. Signature or initial block. If I click on it, there's a gear, and there is a timestamp. Same thing on an initial block. I click on the initial block here, click on the gear, and there is a timestamp.
Which is needed for
Counters,
offers,
multiple offers, yep, exactly. So,
which most people don't do, which is so wrong.
which is bad, right? So make sure if you need to add time on a signature or an initial block, you go right click or click on the gear to get the time. So I'm going to get the sent.
Does it take, it does the same as eSign, it takes into consideration the time zone that somebody's in?
Yes.
So what happens if you needed to, if they're in New York and they're signing it, but you needed to show the Arizona time zone?
You can change that in preferences, but it's gonna change your whole preferences. There's no way to change it on their one-off system, so you have to change your preferences and then remember to change it back. That's really the only option.
That's pretty bad considering.
Yeah, or you can tell them to put in their own text box, I don't know, yeah. To type in the time when they signed.
You can put in a text box that
Well,
says?
this is where I would say my broker will allow that, my broker will
Will
allow
allow what?
a text box date, or time, that they put in a time. I would check with yours. Some brokers say absolutely not, it needs to be stamped on this. My broker, we could put in the time. Because let's say that I wasn't e-signing this, let's say I'm doing a counter in person, we're gonna write in the time, right? So that's acceptable, but some brokers don't, so double check with your broker if they'll allow them to actually put in the time on that themselves.
You still have to have it to the other agent by that designated time, so your email could also be used as time.
Yeah.
If the sign, if
You
it's
don't
written,
attach your email to the contract though.
Yeah, so here's, we're getting on a segue, but
Okay.
just to, I want to address that though specifically, because there were 2 court cases that the judge went off of,
The contract.
not the delivery.
yeah.
And that blew up Arizona, because Arizona, we've always heard, it's delivery, it's delivery, it's delivery.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been taught, they taught us that in school.
Yeah.
The judge was like, I don't care what AAR says, or what we've been taught, they will go off of that time.
Is that right?
Yeah, which was alarming to me, because I was the same boat. I was like, well, if I never deliver it to you, right? But 2 cases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right, so I have this now signing off to be sent. We're at 11:08, we're a little past our 10-minute. Let's take a 10-minute now, we'll come back and close out the class. And we'll make templates and all that fun
To
stuff.
start, did you say I go to AR online?
ARonline.com.
That's how I start.
Yep, and then with the SSO dashboard or the
SS.
O dashboard, or log in with single sign-on. Remember,
I have
you'll
a
see 2
question.
screens. Yes.
Are manual records still acceptable?
Yes, of course. Yeah. And in fact, I think that's why the judge chose that, because he was saying, what if it's not the other client's fault, they did not do an e-signature service, right? So if I sat there with you, and you're in Sun City and I am in Flagstaff, and it took me 3 hours to drive to Flagstaff to deliver it to the agent, that's not gonna take the precedence versus the time that you signed under the acknowledgement. Which is kind of crazy, because we were always taught, or at least I was taught, it's delivery. Yeah, so,
If you and I were
But I
working.
can understand that point,
which is true, I mean,
because
yeah,
that's when he signed it.
so I signed it, so
That's when
his agreement is
his
in the
agreement is at
contract.
this time I have to.
If you and I were partners, and you said, write this listing for me.
Yes,
Well, can I go into my own and just put your name, have you as
yes,
the lister and I'm the co-lister, but
Are you making
I can
money?
do it on mine
yes.
for you?
Exactly, so you could be on your transaction desk, making a listing for another
you.
agent in your brokerage on their transaction desk.
Oh, you
Yes.
can go into theirs too?
They go with their own, yes.
Well, no, I mean, they have their own because they go into, they have their, like if they go into Flex,
Yep,
they got their transaction desk. If
Yes.
I go into mine, I have mine.
correct.
But can I go into mine
Yes.
and make a listing for you?
Yes, if I was in your brokerage, yes,
Yeah, if we're partners.
yes,
I can do it for you in mine,
yes,
but then you wouldn't have a copy of that in yours.
you would.
You
could
would?
You could see them both at the same time.
Oh,
Yes.
So then you could go in yours and see what I did for you.
Correct. And I could edit it,
Really?
yes.
Is that because of the changes they've now made, for the co-lister to now be able to make the changes for the major lister? Is that what it is?
I don't know if that's the reason why, but the system has the ability up here for sharing.
Oh,
So when I share, I can share any templates, I can share transactions,
okay.
I can share multiple things.
Okay.
So it's used for teams, it's used for transaction coordinators.
Yeah.
So this is the sharing
So
functionality.
you're gonna show us how to go to sharing?
Yes.
Because I would like to start with the templates, because I think that helps me
Yeah,
to have it all done, like you said.
right,
You know.
yep. So yeah, we're doing
I might have to
transactions.
take this class a couple more times.
I
but-
took four training sessions the last one, so don't worry.
So I don't see the bins, I
Contract.
don't see the bins are in the.
Not for commissioner,
I can
for
do it.
a contract.
I'll do it. I can do it. to template
So
and show.
I only see I only see Coldwell Banker's form for the additional page for the Binzer. And I typed in BINSR,
October 31st.
but in the add form transaction.
Coming again to
Yeah, so you know what's weird is that here,
And I'm
the
wondering
BINSR,
if I should do it one more
how
time.
they have it is only for commercial. If I type in the word inspection though, there's where it pops up.
Well, that's so wrong,
That is-
that
I
you're
know.
telling me that I can do something
I
I
know,
can't.
not for the Binzer apparently, unless you're a commercial agent.
Can I make it one of
Inspection,
my
oh, and then they,
extra
okay.
classes?
General?
Yeah.
It's okay, you'll come back, I'm sure.
I don't know.
Alright,
This wasn't open, but you could.
we're rolling here, okay.
Okay.
Close out the class. Let's get this signed and let's get this email off. I want to show you how to email outside the system if you did not do a CC. All right. So I think I closed out of my email. Let me open up my email again. Let's go ahead and get this signed.
What do you mean if you did not do a CC?
You're going to see in just a second. I promise. I promise. I promise. I promise. All right. So here's the signing session. So we're Starbucks Buyer Bob here. Here's my Suncoast Drive offer I need to sign. Just like before, we open it up. I'm not a robot. Like I mentioned, the client can scroll through, right? They could scroll through and physically click or touch screen if they have it on their phone and read through every line as they should, right? Buyer advisory especially. But if they hit start, it will just shoot them through the entire process. So they can scroll through and click, or hit start and they can go ahead and fly through it, at 1,000,000 miles per hour if they'd like. So let's get this signed. Now, we talked about earlier, remember, when I created the signing session, I could have added a CC, right?
Yes.
Which means that the CC would have gotten it right now. Right when I finished clicking, the listing agent or whoever I added as a CC, my transaction coordinator, my co-listing agent, whoever it was, they would have received it right now. But we had a discussion, kind of like what you're bringing up, the listing agent doesn't need the buyer advisory. The listing agent doesn't need some of these other things. So how do I now email from the system to the listing agent? So let's do that. All of these items, where should I find all these signed items now? Under my documents, right? Where do I find my documents for this transaction?
Right.
The rights, perfect, the rights. So here they are. I hit documents. I could go ahead and sort it to make it a little easier. I could sort and say, date created. And notice it was one signing session, but they all came back as what? Separate PDFs. So one giant signing session, but they're separate PDFs, which I personally prefer, right? When I'm a listing agent, somebody sends me a 200-page PDF, and they're like, here's the offer. I'm like, no thanks, but I gotta slice it up, right? They all come over as separate PDFs, which is nice. So now, I did not add a CC, but I want to email these to the listing agent. Instead of downloading all these onto my computer, opening my email, attaching to that email, and sending that, I can send it from the system via, remember, the basket here, this basket. So, let's select what we want to send. I just want to send the purchase contract, the HOA, the MCA, whatever, right? And I have, now they're going into this basket. The second to last option in the basket is send via email. Be careful, because it's right next to the trash can, right? So do not click delete.
That's a bad one too.
I know. The good news is if you click delete, it still says, are you sure?
Right.
So you won't do it. But send
You
via
are a
email.
robot.
Yeah, you are a robot. Send via email. And I don't remember the listing agent's email. And instead of going back to Flex or looking at the purchase contract, I have a contact card right here. I click on the contact card. There's the listing agent.
Oh, that's from the download.
Yep. That was from when we brought it over.
Right.
Now, I can send them as a link or send them as an attachment. I prefer attachments just because that's how I would prefer to receive things.
Right.
If I was at the grocery store and somebody sent me an offer, I could be able to open my phone, see the offer. Right? If it's a link, it might be a little more difficult. If you still want to send them as a link, they will go as itemized links. Meaning it will say, click here for purchase, click here for MCA, click here for HOA. They still come back as separate. Though I say send as attachments. The only time, my personal preference, you can do whatever you want, you can send as a link if you get a bounce back because it was too large. Rarely do our residential resale documents are too large, unless like the client took a picture of every page they signed, and that's what you're trying to send. But all of these files that come back via esign are compressed PDFs. So rarely you're going to run into that issue. So I click send as attachment. I have items now. these are the items that I'm sending. I could reorder how they're viewed, right? If I want the purchase contract to be the first thing they see. And again, Lone Wolf is proud in their fax back cover sheet. You have that there if you want to add it again. That's it.
But you don't need that.
So,
Absolutely not. Unless you, faxing, you do not need it, yes.
so, for Coldwell Banker, we have
Broker management system, you
broker
can email
management
into.
system.
Yes.
Can you just send it to,
Yes.
so it goes right to home base and
Yep.
I'm done, I don't have to worry
Yes.
about it. So the question though is, will I have, how can, I guess I can carbon copy myself
Yep.
or find out where it is so that I have a record that it was sent to home base, the management system?
Exactly, yep, so you could add yourself, add multiple CCs.
Okay.
Exactly, but I'm glad you brought that up. Here, 1 second. A lot of us, or some of you, probably have some form of broker management system, and whether you realize it or not, I bet you that broker management system has the ability to email upload. A lot of people say no, they don't. Almost all of them do.
Like SkySlope?
Like SkySlope, where I can email into the system for my broker to review. This is exactly how I could do that now.
Okay, perfect.
If
Yeah,
I
but
have-
not till it's signed.
Right.
So now that it's a document.
Right. But if
That's
it's
all signed.
Well, no, it's not executed yet.
Oh,
But
but it saves you a step, yeah.
exactly. So all these are executed. I can send directly to the broker.
You know where they got that basket? From Amazon, because when I buy things, it goes in the
That's
basket.
that's exactly what it is.
I wonder if they'll be
The only problem is you're not getting charged for those.
Exactly.
It's not gonna hit your credit card.
So if you have like an email stamp, so like traditionally now when we're sending the email, you have your stamp and everything. Can you incorporate that in this at
For like a
all?
timestamp for
Or
delivery.
like, no, your
No, like-
email.
Oh,
signature.
yes, you can. Here, no, but I'm going to show you in preferences where you can build that, and it will always send it that way. Yes, you can. All right, so now all I do is hit send. It's off. I'm obviously not going to send it because he's going to be mad at this $0 offer. So I'm not going to send it to the agent. I'm going to send it to myself instead.
$0.
But that's it, right? That's all you would do. I'm going to click send, and now I'm going to receive, as a listing agent, all of these things directly to my email. And you get to see that you're allowed, it gives you the capability to respond back to that email, which I love. And obviously, if this was a real offer, we would have done what? Typed up an actual email and say, here's a client's offer, and then probably do what as well? Call or text, right? But this is a fake offer. So let me go to my email now and show you what it looks like when the recipient
Could have
receives
made
it.
that guy's day.
Yeah, you would be like, what is this? All right, so by default, if I did nothing, no customization at all, it just tells you who was sent by, in relation to what. We probably would have already changed the name of the transaction if we wanted to. This is a default signature here, but yes, you can create your own custom one, and then here are all the attachments. They come over just like that. I use this all the time. Between this and CC, if something comes back to me, lender, title, whoever, transaction
get 'em all
coordinator,
out there.
all the time. So especially since, again, if buyer Bob's calls me up and says, hey, I signed that offer, and I'm at Safeway, instead of rushing home to get to listing agent, click, 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 send. It's as easy as it is, which is really nice. All right, so
You mentioned that you were gonna show us a lot of preferences changes.
we are.
Okay.
Yes, that was my after the so. So we're going to talk about templates first and then
Yes,
preferences.
templates.
Why I save templates for the end is because it's very easy to create templates. Very easy to create templates. Where it's going to become more laborious is for you after the fact to go in and build them one by one. Getting there is easy. Taking the time to do it and filling in the information is going to be the burden on you. So let's start from scratch. I'm at the agent dashboard. Again, the home screen of the system. Agent dashboard.
Well, wait a minute. Agent dashboard.
That's
where-
the top left.
That's when you first
little-
open.
Yep, so even like, let's say if I'm in Flex here and I want to access TransactionDesk, if I
Right,
click on this one here,
up on top.
yep, if I click this one, this is what's going to look like right when I get brought in.
Oh, so
Yep.
that's the one you prefer, is that one on top?
Yes, you have
Yeah.
to, if you don't.
The other one
The
creates
other one creates the
Transaction.
transaction.
Yeah. So the other one will not only bring you in, but it will do this.
That's,
It will bring you in and start you right here.
Right.
that's
Yeah,
probably not ever gonna be used that often.
Not that often.
Not that
So if
often.
you want to just get, okay, if you want to just, you want to start and build your templates, you're going to click here.
On top,
Right here, yes. Yep, for you, when you go back and make your templates, go to Armless and click this one.
yeah.
Yes, sir. And then you can go into templates. So now, when you click here, you're gonna end up on this screen, and now let's go into how to make the templates.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hit the hammer on the left to expand, and you're gonna see down, there's 3 gears here for setup. 3 gears for setup.
Setup.
I go into setup, and about 2/3 of the way down, we will see transaction templates as an option. Transaction templates. Unless your broker has already started to create templates for you, you're gonna see nothing. It's gonna be one giant white screen, all right? So you go straight over to add. Some of you may see some templates already there because your broker has started, but if not, it's okay, go straight to add. So again, setup, transaction templates, add. Setup, transaction templates, add. When I click on add, first ask obviously is the name. What is the name of this? So I encourage you to make, a very basic listing template, a very basic buyer's template, and then you can make it as nuanced from there, right? So I'm gonna do literally a very basic listing template in this case, all right? And the type, again, all the different options, commercial, condo, vacant. I'm gonna do residential listing. Vacant in Lone Wolf size is land. Some people are asking, like, what's the difference between a vacant listing and a residential listing? Does that mean it's a vacant property? No, it's land. So, but again, for the most part, we're doing residential. But you have commercial here, condo, residential, purchase, lease, listing. I'm gonna choose residential listing for this specific template.
You mean that they have condo instead of, you don't, right now we just use residential for condo too?
That's exactly what I would do too. They have it as distinguishing, and I think the only reason being is, let's say you have a lot of different templates and you want to see, well, in Arizona, there's only like,
So easy,
I'm trying
just
to,
do one template.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can
it's the
choose
same
your-
difference.
the only thing is that there's a few downtown co-ops.
Well,
In the
that's
East
it.
Coast, there's co-ops, then yes. Here, no,
There's
it's
like
residential.
three.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like 3.
It's like three
Yeah,
co-ops.
they're trying to build more, and people are like, no. So again,
Co-ops are so much
I would
better.
say just residential listing.
Okay.
Because that's all they are, the residential listings, regardless if it's condo or single family. All right, and then description is completely up to you. If you want to have it a very basic template, if you want to have it as a specific template, if you want to say this is for a vacant horse property in Payson, sure. You can have as nuanced template as you want, or as a general template, it's completely up to you. I'm going to go to save now,
Oh, save.
save, and now it brings us into the transaction template builder itself. The first thing we're going to see, we already did these things, the first thing we're going to see that we have the ability to do checklists. We did not talk about checklists in this class, nor was that the goal. We were going to talk about this, way too much information already. I'll show you where, if you're interested in adding checklists, how to watch these easy videos to build them. But checklists essentially are, you can put a reminder or an automatic task to say in 3 days, I need to do this. In 7 days, I need to do this. That's what a checklist is. Contacts, this is what I was mentioning earlier. I highly encourage you to add anybody that you correspond with regularly throughout a transaction as a contact here.
Or my partner.
Or, yes, especially your partner, right? If you do co-listing agents or you're on a team, I would add Skyslope here. I would add the other broker management here as a contact. Why? Because when I need to email, I select. So I add anything that I basically need to email to as a contact here. If this was a buyer's template, I would add my title, my home warranty, because they will automatically populate onto the purchase contract. Let's say I have a favorite title company for whatever, single family homes, and I have another favorite title company for manufactured homes. I can have 3 title companies in here and individually select who I want to populate on the purchase contract. Same exact thing with the home warranty. Obviously the only thing that's going to populate is the home warranty name, so I can tell you the coverage and the amount, just the name, but it's less steps. So add as many contacts as you can here, all right? Next we have documents and folders. This is where you can add your brokerage specific documents, unless your broker has already added them as a form. Remember, some brokers are adding them as forms, but they have to pay $50 per page. Some brokers are not doing this, so instead you add them as a document now. So if I need to add my brokerage specific pool addendum or mold disclosure or affiliated business disclosure, this is exactly how I would do it. Go to documents, add document, and then it asks where are you adding from. And more than likely it's probably on your computer.
Yeah.
So I can click here and find it wherever it is. So for example,
Like your desktop.
yep, any desktop. So I have like Luke Air Force Base notification map as an example. I can put this as in my template. It's always going to be there. For you specifically, Coldwell Banker has that folder. So unless you have one-off individual forms of
We
your own.
have our own,
Right.
Coldwell Banker forms are all in.
Yeah, so you
all
probably won't
in
need to
here.
use
So I
this.
just uploaded them in from the forms.
Right, right.
I guess they paid money.
Yeah, they did. All right, so multiple forms, pull, whatever, any disclosure your brokerage has, any document that you need to get signed, you can add now as a document. Below that, we have forms, just like before. These are the actual forms that we were adding to that initial transaction. Our 3 subfolders in here, we can go ahead and add everything. This is a listing, so I could add whatever, right? Exclusive, right? I got to spell it correctly first, that'll help.
Yeah. Spuds.
Spuds, anything you need to add, right? So ER, I could add spuds, add agency, I could add HOA, I could add profile sheet, I could add, right, anything you guys want to add. You know what you need to add. I'm not going to add every single thing here.
Right.
I'm not going to be here forever.
Actually,
HOA,
the profile sheet comes right from the MLS,
yeah, that's nice.
so.
Advisories, whatever. All right, so they're going to a basket again. I need to get them actually added in. What I need to do, click add, right? Do not click close. After you select them, they go into their basket. Actually click on add. Click on add. Really, that's it. That's all it takes to build templates. Where I now encourage you is take a look at the past 10 to 15 listings you've done, or the past 10 to 15 transactions you've done. If you're saying the same thing over and over and over again, what is the likelihood you're going to say the same thing moving forward?
Absolutely.
If I open up the ER, for example, if it's been 7 years since I've done a rental sale, right?
Right.
Maybe I do have an exact template just for rentals or just for leases or whatever it are, right? Go in. If I offer the same exact co-broke, if it's a one-time it changes, it's easy to change. Fill in as much information as you can. In the past 15 listings I've done, I always do a lockbox. Add it now. If it was a one-time, the seller's like, no lockbox, thank you. How easy is it just to
Easy to
click
check
it?
it off.
It's easy to check it off. Yes.
What about clauses?
Same thing, yeah, we're into clauses in a second.
Okay.
So I can type in things now, but then I can also add clauses, which are a little bit different. So my encouragement is go through all of these forms. If you're saying the same thing over and over, do you guys hop associations every other month? No, right? No. Again, fill in all of this basic stuff as much as you can. Same thing on the buyer's template. If you're saying the same thing here, whatever it is,
Yeah.
fill it out now. Fill it out now. That way, when you have either an agreement to take or a contract to offer on, half the work's done already.
Now, do you have to save that?
Yes, so now we're going to zoom out. How do I get out of here again?
File save.
So point of the file.
Yeah.
It's supposed to auto-save, but I say save. It takes half a second. File, save, and then exit, and I'm out. That's it. And I would go through every single one of these forms. Every single one of these forms do the exact same thing. All right? Now, let's apply this template now. We created the template. Now let's apply it. So I'm going to go back to the agent dashboard again, the home screen, the agent dashboard, and let's apply this template. I'm going to create a new transaction. Let's say Starbucks buyer Bob is selling his house now. All right? I'm going to create a transaction, and let's say we're going to sell his house. So I'm going to say Starbucks selling Bob. Great. Here I have the option for the template. Well, let's say I forget to do it now. I can still do it after the fact. So you can build transactions today and add and apply templates later on. You do not have to add the template right now. Those are probably best practice too, but you can still add it after the fact. So let me show you. If I do not add it now and I go type, it's a residential listing. I'm not importing any of the data. I'm creating this data. I am the listing agent. I have my wizard. I'm going to create. And again, we have that 5 steps it's going to take us through. Our details, our transaction dates. What do we do when we get here? Add the client now. Add the contact as client now, right? Client as contact. Next, we have forms. Again, we have a template this time, however. So I'm going to apply this template now. In other words, I'm going to edit, change, and modify this entire transaction. What could I click to do that?
Add.
I'm going to edit, change, or modify.
Oh, on the snowman.
Snowman, yeah.
Snowman, apply template. Snowman, apply template. Now it's going to ask, what template are you going to apply? And I have my, what I call it, a very basic listing template here. Apply.
Okay.
Yes.
If you start this through Armless, same exact thing?
Yep, exactly. Right. So let's say right now it's like, oh, it's the wrong template. Same exact thing. Go back to the snowman, apply template, bring the new one in, and it'll override everything else. Yep. So if I go to my documents now, there's Luke Air Force Base notification map. If I go to my contacts, if I added Sky Slope or broker management, they'd all be here. All right. So that's how you apply templates. Now let's talk about how to create clauses. How to create clauses.
Did that.
Clauses are inside of setup as well. So let's go back to setup. And right here under notifications, clauses. Clauses. There are system clauses, which I don't know why, the system doesn't have any, they're blank. Office clauses will be if your broker has created clauses for you. There might be some clauses in office clauses, but you create your own clauses in personal clauses. In personal clauses. So you open up personal clauses, click on add a new clause, and type whatever you want to type, the title and the content. If you, let's say you represent a cash buyer and you always say this additional terms and conditions, or I have a different clause when I have a VA asking for concessions, whatever, right? You can have all the clauses you want individually, just go to clauses, personal, add. Make sense? Okay, now let's get
So how do
to,
you know where the clause is gonna go though?
you go and apply it.
You have to drop and drag
Yep.
it or apply.
So here, let me show you. Let's go back to Starbucks buyer Bob. If I open up the purchase contract, so I'm going to go to the forms. Remember the forms are on the right side over here. The right side, forms.
You can't go into the box and open the forms? So go back to the,
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can scroll through and find it right here.
Oh.
Yeah, the widget. Mhm.
Okay.
You can do it either way.
Okay.
All right, so I'm inside of the purchase contract. Let's go down to page 8. And let's say I wanted to have a clause right here. It's kind of hard to see, but at the top where I have file, fonts, clause. I click on clause and it's going to ask what clause do I want to apply. First I have to select here. What clause do you want to apply? And they're all under personal, unless your broker has a clause you want to use, but then they would be all here and you can select those individually.
We used to have them in Word doc and we would copy and paste.
Yeah,
Those
right.
days are over.
Yeah,
That
now-
was 2018.
There you go. Now we have them all built in, so that's nice. Okay, in the last few minutes, let's do those preferences that we need to change. Remember some of those glitches that we need to fix?
To know your email.
And your email. Yep, let's fix all those. So let's start from scratch again. The agent dashboard. We're gonna go back to setup again. Back to setup. Preferences, which is the first option. Setup, preferences, user information. Setup, preferences, user information. Your daylight savings time, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it's automatically applied. Make sure it's not applied, right? We're on Mountain Standard, but we're not on daylight, right? Your agent ID is probably incorrect. It probably says your NERDS ID number. Correct that. Your agent ID needs to be your MLS number. Your phone number is probably your office phone number, not the preferred phone number that you want. So change that. Here's that email address. So by default, this is going to be what you see here is what AAR has for you. If you want to change that now, you can. You can type whatever you want here, whatever email address you want.
Can you take out the fax number and leave it empty?
Yes, you don't have to have one. You can remove that. You can add a website. Here's your agent. Your state license number is probably fine. I've never heard of issues with anything there. Even though you have the functionality to add a cell phone, it's never advertised. So if you really want people to contact your cell phone, put that as your phone number. No one actually sees your cell.
Oh, okay.
So-
So your phone number should be your cell phone number.
Yeah, that's how you prefer to be contacted because it doesn't show you, hey, cell and phone. It just says phone.
And does it have dashes or no?
Yes, dashes. Yes.
Wait,
Who
now,
has anything other
which
than
one
a
do you
cell phone?
want to put it in?
Phone.
In the phone.
Yes. If you want your direct contact to be your cell phone number,
Put
even
that
though
in the phone.
yeah, even though
And
there's
that
a,
has to be on the contract.
exactly, even though there's
Because
an
if it's not on
option
the
for
contract
cell,
and you're calling the office,
put it
you're
as your phone.
screwed.
The one thing you cannot change here is identifying information like your name. If there's any issues with your name, and it has been, because people have registered AKAs with ADRE.
Right.
If you have a registered AKA and it's not acknowledged by AAR, it's going to be wrong here.
So mine's in Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, change that to Mountain Standard, no daylight. All right, underneath user information, we have office information. Notice I cannot change any of that. This office ID is incorrect. The only one who can change is your broker.
So you hit update first before you back out?
Yes, update if you're going to change anything.
Just do it.
Yep.
Okay.
And now office information, I cannot change any of that. There's any broker information that's incorrect, let your broker know. Underneath office information, this is where I can add an email signature. So I encourage you to have uniformity across all your platforms. So copy your signature from your Gmail or your Outlook or whatever it is, and you can literally just copy and paste. The only thing that will not work in this signature are links. So if you have like a link in your signature that says click here, it will not work. But if you have a picture or whatever it is, you can do that. You can also add branding. If you have a headshot, a logo, whatever it is, you can add that underneath branding as well.
So the office ID you were saying
Yep,
is
is
wrong.
wrong. That's your
So
broker.
you have to call your broker and tell him to change
Change it.
the,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Exactly.
Where would the signature be? I don't remember signing anything that.
Email signature, when you email something out, that bottom line. Remember, so like,
And it has all of your contact information and your.
It's like,
So in other
so if
words,
they
you have
don't
to
know
go-
who they're
you-
working with.
You have to go to like esign and,
no, watch, listen. Right here, remember I sent the contract information to the listing agent?
yeah,
So this is my signature as the system provides. Jimmy Garcia, Ezell, blah, blah, blah. If I want that to be custom, if I want my own kind of signature here, that's where I can add that.
with like what you have there.
Yeah, if I want to change this is the default system one.
Oh, so that'll automatically be in there for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to change
When
that.
I like it, I change it.
Right, like if I want this one, this is the one that I really use.
Oh.
If I wanted this one for me to be like this in the system, I would do that
That's what you were
here.
Your
Where'd
stamp.
you get your picture from?
That was in my Gmail.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
I
So
can
where
get it
did
from
it
my
originally
desktop?
get
Too much, they know who they're dealing with at
Populated
that
from,
point,
it
don't
got
they?
populated from AAR.
Really
Yes,
need
it
that.
populates default from AAR. It populates default from AAR.
Same way with the office code.
So broker
Yes.
needs to be changed, I'm sure
Well,
everybody's
if
broker
it's
is wrong.
populated from the AAR, isn't it wrong then if it's wrong, AAR has it wrong, right?
Correct. If you call Lone Wolf, they're gonna tell you, we're getting it directly from AAR. I'm just a messenger, all right?
Yeah, the office ID is
It's wrong.
It has
It
to
is
be
wrong.
BR, whatever it is.
Yep, so login, I'm only showing you login to tell you to stay away from it. Why I'm saying that is, you saw how frustrating it can be to access through the SSO dashboard. Once people get in, they try to come in and try to change their login, thinking they can bypass the system. You cannot. You have to go through the SSO dashboard, whether through Flex, whether through AAR, so do not change anything in the login system here, all right? Now, the last few things, I'll let you guys go. Underneath setup, we have support. There's some support here. There's an 800 number, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And the better people are on from 9 to 5.
Exactly. Get the 9 to 5. Get the 9 to 5.
If you're on after that,
Yeah.
you got the lame ones.
So that's in support. You'll see that near the bottom underneath setup. There's support. It's 800-668-8768. And then there are also these pre-recorded webinar videos. Absolutely stay away from these
Stay
videos.
away, the guy is horrible.
Yeah, do
He's
not
like
watch these
dead.
videos. One of them,
Seriously.
the only problem is
So
the
bad.
instruction's not that good, agreed, but also they're for other states. So they're showing you some things of like, this is how you do things in Tennessee, or even for like Canada, this is how you do things in Montreal. Do not watch the webinar videos, absolutely. Stay away. What I,
Okay, but now I made my templates. I want to share it with my partner. How do I get it to?
let me finish this first.
Okay.
So pre-recorded webinar videos, do not watch those
Do not
webinar
watch.
videos. What I do encourage you to watch, however, are these individual help videos. These help videos are like a minute to a minute 30 long. Anything you could almost think of in regards to a question to the system has probably been addressed as one of these videos. So for example, if I click on transactions, it says how to add a contact, how to add a form, how to add a photo.
So they break it down.
They break it down for like a minute to a minute 30. How to archive, how to create.
Is that where the checklist video was?
Yep, this is where the checklist video is as well. So, and you can also search. If I want to learn about tasks or checklists, I can add tasks, and it says how to use a task widget, how to create, how to do all these things. And again, they're like a minute to a minute 30 long, and they're perfect, all right?
Oh, I started to watch that pre-recorded video.
Don't watch the videos.
The guy was like laughing at himself. I was like, you gotta
Yeah.
be kidding me,
Yeah.
this is lame.
The other thing you have here are guides. Above the help videos, there are guides. If for whatever reason you don't like videos, you want to read a guide,
Oy.
there are literally step-by-step instructions that will tell you, click here, click here, click here. I mean, again, there's zero excuse. 6 months from now, you do not have a grasp of the system. If you are 6 months out and you have no idea what you're doing,
Quit.
it's your fault, not the system's. I'm not trying to be rude, but all of the things, tools that we have are here. Plenty of time to learn. Absolutely plenty of time. So I'm going to show you one off on that. Besides that question, any other questions before we go? If you want to see a calendar of classes that either I teach or Jeffrey Raskin teach, I think we're doing another one here in October.
Yes,
That's the
October
calendar,
31st.
techforre.com/calendar, and my contact information. But we have your certs, and we're good to go. Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a
The
good evening.
certificates are on the desk, are on the table as you go walk out, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, so Jimmy, in other words, we can't find an excuse to call you and say, how do I do this?
Yeah, right. If you're like, no, the help video doesn't work, I don't know what's going on, feel free, do text or call. I'd be happy to help.
Cool.
Okay, you guys are good. I'm gonna talk about how to share things. If you want to learn, feel free to stay. If not, go ahead and get your certs. How to create a sharing group. Why you would want to create a sharing group is if you want to share it to a co-listing agent or share it to a team member or whatever it is. So, yeah, if you're your own agent, there's not that big of a deal.
Is it good for admin too? Like,
Broker by default already has you. Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm with HomeSmart, but,
Just take place of pipeline.
no,
So,
pipeline
to
is
create a share group,
our people is gonna be where we stole over there. This is literally
you want to come up?
everything leading up to it. So
Can you hear me? Okay. So to create a share group, you're gonna go to setup,
Setup.
From this system into.
the same way you would upload them
sharing.
from
Underneath
now,
transactions,
it's the
come
same
to
way.
sharing.
It's the same way.
but
Yeah.
he keeps on.
And then you're gonna go straight
What he's
over
talking about with the
to
email
add,
is the easiest way.
and then create whatever group you want. So,
Really interesting, but I don't really
test
know.
one, we call
So
test
then
one.
I put my partner's name.
No, you name the group first. Name the group first.
Don't worry.
Whatever you want to name it.
So if you had a partner,
You use it?
would you call the group?
You and, Jimmy and Joe, whatever you want, yeah, whatever you want to call a group.
You and
Diane.
Yeah, that's fine, yep. So then save.
I don't use words like.
Now this is where you find your partner. You will see the agents in your office. We're in Lawrence County office.
Right,
Then you will see all the agents in your office.
sure.
Oh.
So then you click on your partner's name, let's say it's Francisco
So
here.
how did you find out members?
After you hit the group name, the next button, it brings you here.
Right.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So after you name it, you click save, and it automatically brings you here.
And it'll have all my office.
All your, I want to make sure there's a difference. All the office, not the brokerage. Some brokerages have multiple offices.
Yeah.
You will only see the agents in your physical office,
Okay.
okay?
It's like a small
Then you
thing,
select who you want to select. If it is you truly partners,
Yeah.
if you're truly partners, you give them full privilege.
Yes.
Okay,
Full
so,
privilege.
yep, so you select full privilege there. If they're a transaction coordinator, you don't want them to be able to delete transactions, maybe you give them right privilege here. But for you, you give them full privilege. Yeah, that's it. Now, yep, so now to see each other's transactions, yep, so let me go out, I'm gonna go to TransactionDesk. In other words, the entirety of the whole system here, TransactionDesk.
So if anybody ever does.
And if I want to see their transactions, or they want to see my transactions,
Okay.
right up here is this view icon, the filter,
Filter.
and then it gives me the option.
Yeah.
Are they mine, or are they the shared transactions? Are they my transactions or shared? And this is where your partner could be in the transaction and update it, you could be in the transaction and update it, but you have to create the share group first.
Yeah, but then what's this last step?
You go to transactions,
Yeah.
hit the filter, and choose, are they yours or shared? And it's gonna be a shared transaction.
Yeah.
That's it.
But all, did you,
Yeah, this is-
I
No.
can't see this.
No,
You never know.
you either choose,
Mine, all,
That's true.
You never know.
in other words, what's different, all, I would share all of them.
no, this is the view that you have.
Oh, that was mine.
You put mine,
Sold it now.
No, there's no way to mark it
Well, no, like when you hit share, how is it, how crossed out?
when you create the transaction. Yeah. Yeah.
well, what
So,
I'm saying is, like, you and I are partners.
Yep.
I do this. Now, if I go in, it automatically changes when you go in too, you see what I change.
yep, so what we're
So
gonna
we
do
don't have
is,
to change it twice.
yep, so when you create that transaction,
I say full privilege transaction, and then, and what's the last step is what I missed.
they're really, you're not gonna see anything yet until you create a transaction. So that you're kind of, that is the last step.
Right.
But then once you, let's say today, you get a contract, a listing, and both of you wanna work on it.
Yeah, I'm a co-lister, he's a lister.
Great, you come in here and create that transaction.
I go to share, set up, sharing ad, then I put that person's name.
Yeah.
I find him in my office.
Right.
Was there one more step?
Yep, full privilege.
Well, that was just to set it up.
Yep, so full privilege is to set it up. Now when I go here as create a transaction, now I'm gonna create the listing, right? For
Right.
both of us to view.
Yeah.
When I go through this, I'm gonna add that co-listing agent as a contact. And now they can, you'll be able to see both that same transaction.
Do I have to do that every time?
Yes,
Sorry.
Every
yes,
time I do it, I have to add them.
And then you have it.
yes.
Contact,
Yeah.
but they'll already be in your
Yeah.
contact.
These kind of classes are always fun.
10 minutes for the attorney.
Now, you probably, did you get?
No, because see, in zip form, I do that right now. I can do it, go in theirs, go in mine. But this is.
Right.
So this is just adding one.
So if I do all the templates and all the clauses and all that, it'll be in theirs too.
Yes.
Have a good day. Thank you
Did
for
you
your
make-
candor on
I'm so sorry.
what you think about your
When
brokerage.
you.
Well, I
So, but I wanna just distinguish.
You'd
By
be-
default,
you,
nothing's shared until you create the share group. And then to share a template though,
your time.
you have to go to the transaction
still
templates.
licensed in Maryland.
Ah, you gotta share that
You have to
too.
share this too.
Ah.
So now if I go to our listing template that I've created, at the very bottom, you'll see sharing.
Sharing for that too.
Exactly. But again, you do it one time and it's shared forever.
Yeah.
And the good news is anything you change in this template will automatically update on their end too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes. Yep, so when you click sharing, it'll say who you're sharing to, and you select that group you just created.
Yeah, that person.
Yep, and that person, yeah.
So when you are in the actual MLS, by my clicking on the number, not
Right.
that, is that how I end up using the MLS connect on my documents?
That's, yes and no, so you can still import the MLS ID number with the snowman, right? But let's say I click on it here, all right? All this does, I go to the details now, when I click on it here, it brings me in, and it just brings me to that view of instantly starting a transaction, which we should see in a second here. Give it a second. And there we go. It started the transaction because we already had this. Let me choose one new listing, because we already had this transaction. So let me go to Lindrick. Let's say it's a whole new transaction on Lindrick I want to create. When I click on TransactionDesk here, it's gonna bring me in. Let me close out these. It's gonna bring me into the, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. All right,
I've got your CE one that is auditing.
and here it is. This is the view, it automatically pops up. So by default, it just called the name, the property address, and put in the MLS number for us. Yeah, so that's what it looks like if you start that way.
So that actually, you know how like when we take our templates and then it wants to know if we want it, MLS connect. It seems like this is that.
It goes straight there, exactly. And now at this point, like, so I have Lindrick, if I want to apply a template, excellent.
All right, excellent. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is amazing.
Thank you.
So I don't know if it's gonna be you or Jessica.
Yeah, yeah.